Strategy is something so profound that only advanced sword masters understand it, and every year, countless people are stumped by these questions. As for rhetoric, let's not even mention it. There are countless rare and peculiar treasures in the world, and every year there are some bizarre ones that give people a headache. He sighed heavily. Ian Norris spoke up to encourage her. Lily Evans, don't be sad or discouraged. Next year, we'll take the exam together again. Lily Evans. I don't feel comforted at all. However, she tried to keep her spirits up. She was a disciple of William Thatcher, and there was no reason she couldn't complete the exam set by her master. No matter what, she had to give it a try. She was still curious. What did you draw? Ian Norris opened the bamboo slip in his hand. Medicine, astronomy, agriculture. Vincent Sterling lazily said. Mechanics, military strategy, water management, these are easy. At most, add astronomy and geography, which are just on par with your scripture studies. Before they could finish speaking, the third bell rang. As soon as the bell stopped, the two doors beside Harpurge Hall swung open, and 12 men and women in different attire slowly entered and sat at the prepared tables in the hall. Once they were seated, a woman in a purple dress stood at the front and clearly announced, Please proceed in order according to the subjects on your bamboo slips and begin the exam. It was only then that Lily Evans noticed a small number on her bamboo slip, 298. She looked around, estimating the number of people, and felt she would likely be among the last. Conveniently, she wasn't yet aware of how brutal the legendary Academy examination was, and could use this chance to observe. But when she saw the faces of the 12 people seated there, gasps could be heard around her. Chapter 19. Celestial Healer's Enigma. Among those seated, there was someone Lily Evans found very familiar. The person in a green robe, with a scholarly demeanor, light eyebrows, and a smiling mouth, was the very unique doctor she had met in William Thatcher's room that day. Celestial Healer. Celestial Healer is here too? Not only was she surprised, but whispers also erupted around her. Oh my, is that Celestial Healer? Truly as elegant as the legends say. Am I seeing things? Isn't the woman in red sitting sideways Jade Walker? This is bad. Could she be the one setting the agriculture exam? Rumor had it that although Jade Walker was a woman, she had a fiery temper. It was hard enough to draw an agriculture topic, and if they encountered Jade Walker, it would be a nightmare. Everyone, stop talking. Don't you see the gloomy man over there? Isn't it said that Kyle Young is eccentric and cold, only focused on mechanical studies, and never participates in events like this? Oh no, we've seen 3 of the Big Dipper 7. Even if I'm not selected this time, I have no regrets. Lily Evans. Actually, you could also see Celestial Sovereign, but due to unavoidable circumstances, that's not possible. Vincent Sterling frowned in confusion beside him. It's strange. What's going on this year that Big Dipper 7 is participating in the selection? It's never happened before. But looking at their position, it seems they're not participating in the questioning part, just observing from the back. He sighed. What a pity. If Celestial Sovereign were here and saw me perform so excellently, maybe they'd take me as a disciple. Lily Evans glanced at the self-absorbed person, her mouth twitching. Seeing her skeptical expression, Vincent Sterling protested. You seem to doubt my skills. All right, let me show you what it means to be outstanding. He drew a small number on his bamboo card, and when called, he calmly stepped up, as if it were a casual conversation rather than a tense selection exam. The young man in fine clothes answered each question with ease and fluency. The 3 examiners for the mechanism, military strategy, and water management subjects were clearly pleased, nodding to each other before marking Vincent Sterling's bamboo card with a red circle. Thus, he passed the selection round. Vincent Sterling became even more smug winking at Lily Evans standing outside the crowd, as if to say, "See how impressive I am?" Lily Evans was genuinely surprised. She didn't expect Vincent Sterling, who seemed carefree, to answer the challenging questions so smoothly. He passed the test effortlessly. She felt even more discouraged, as she didn't know the answers to any questions the examiners asked Vincent Sterling, let alone the strategy and rhetoric subjects she drew, which everyone said were as difficult as climbing to the sky. The little mermaid sighed softly, starting to wonder whether the toilets at Cloud Spire Academy were smelly or not. But the truth proved that people like Vincent Sterling were rare. Many people became dejected after just a few questions, and some even sat at the entrance crying miserably. Others clung to the white jade pillar at the door, wailing that they had let down their entire family, and wanted to bang their heads against the door to end it all. Of course, this person was eventually dragged away for causing a disturbance in the examination hall, restoring peace to Harperch Hall. It seemed she wasn't too foolish, just that Vincent Sterling was slightly smarter. Lily Evans patted her chest, feeling a bit more balanced inside. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of a familiar pink color. Clara Howard walked past Lily Evans with a bamboo card marked with red ink. Lily Evans. Just a moment ago, she had openly disliked me, and now she deliberately walks past me, clearly wanting to show off. The person even more nervous than Lily Evans was Ian Norris, who was trembling as he held the bamboo card, making everyone worry if he might faint on the spot. Sure enough, when his name was called, Ian Norris's legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. The examiner. This action caused a tremendous noise, even startling the 3 Northern Dipper Star Lords, who were sitting like mascots, smiling absent-mindedly while filing their nails. Jade Walker glanced at him disdainfully before turning away to continue filing his nails. Kyle Young merely lifted his eyelids slightly. Only Celestial Healer, being a physician, maintained a kind heart, smiling gently. "Get up quickly, are you all right?" His voice, as soft as a spring breeze, made Ian Norris unexpectedly grateful for Celestial Healer's concern, stammering, No problem, thank you. Celestial Healer. Celestial Healer looked at him with deep meaning. "What a pity, if you had broken a bone, I would have had the chance to practice my bone-setting technique." The medicine examiner next to him was startled. Celestial Healer's bone-setting technique was still incomplete, lacking test subjects. Only heaven knows that the seemingly gentle Celestial Healer almost daily breaks a rabbit's leg, then sets it, breaks it again, and sets it again. But Ian Norris's troubles didn't end there. After he stammered through his answer, he saw the hesitant and doubtful expressions of the 3 examiners, and his heart sank, dark clouds gathering over his head. Sigh. Young man, perhaps next year. The examiner was about to offer the usual advice to withdraw when a soft laugh interrupted. "Though this child's aptitude is average, I see some potential in medicine, so why not keep him?" The words, light as a dragonfly skimming the water, carried the weight of 1,000 pounds because they came from Celestial Healer. The man in elegant green attire stood straight as bamboo, the corners of his eyes gently curved. "All right." The examiner holding the bamboo card did not hesitate, marking it with a red line. As the bamboo card was returned, Ian Norris's hand still trembled with disbelief, stammering his thanks. The examiner looked at him with a puzzled expression, wondering if being chosen by Celestial Healer was a blessing or a curse. Ian Norris's forehead was still bruised from the earlier grand gesture, but he seemed oblivious, holding the bamboo card with a foolish grin. Vincent Sterling approached and patted his shoulder. "Well done, stuttering kid, being personally selected by Celestial Healer, impressive indeed." Thank you." Ian Norris was still lost in indescribable joy. Lily Evans' eyes grew emptier, feeling her legs weakening, almost ready to follow in Ian Norris's footsteps. Calm down, little Lily Evans. If it doesn't work out, you can try again next year, Vincent Sterling comforted. Lily Evans looked at him with a blank expression, thinking there was no need. They might meet again in the bathroom this year. The cold, clear voice announcing names felt like a ghostly sound in her ears, with people coming and going around, some joyful, some sorrowful. 298. That haunting voice finally echoed. Chapter 20. Secrets of Heaven cannot be revealed. A cool breeze brushed by, rustling the bamboo shadows. This was a secret place known to few within Verdant Forge. Layers of proud purple bamboo stretched upwards. White stones washed by streams formed a path. This place was as beautiful as a fairyland, yet fraught with hidden dangers. The area was arranged in a 5 elements formation, with lethal traps. A single misstep could lead to the sharp purple bamboo piercing one's heart. However, a man in white moved leisurely through, his sleeves fluttering in the wind, his figure appearing and disappearing like a bird. Occasionally, a bamboo leaf would fall on his robe, which he would casually brush off. His expression was calm, his brows relaxed, yet each step precisely landed on the key points of the formation, as if he was very familiar with the place. Passing through the purple bamboo forest and crossing the white stone bridge, a bamboo pavilion appeared before him. Inside the bamboo pavilion sat a man in gray, meditating with a peaceful demeanor. Though his hair was white as snow, his face did not show age, appearing to be at most 30. Sensing someone's arrival, he opened his eyes. Celestial Sovereign. The man in white was William Thatcher, who responded and sat opposite the gray-haired man. Celestial Seer, it seems you knew I would come. The gray-haired man in gray was the Celestial Seer, the most mysterious figure among the 7 lords. He pushed a cup of tea towards William Thatcher, with a few tender green leaves floating in it. A few nights ago, the stars shifted drastically. I divined and found you would come today. William Thatcher paused as he reached for the tea. You didn't use the tea in my hand for divination, did you? Celestial Seer smiled gently. Indeed. So William Thatcher, you also understand the art of tea leaf divination. So the tea you offered me was not just for divination, but has been sitting for days, not really meant for serving guests. William Thatcher quietly withdrew his hand and coughed softly. Celestial Seer, you must have noticed the celestial changes a few days ago. Can you deduce anything from them? Celestial Seer pondered for a moment, folding his arms on his knees. The vermilion bird holds a new star. The lament of the sea of sorrow is about to end. War chariots thunder from the northern star, and radiant petals break free in the eastern winds. Speak plainly, William Thatcher said coldly. Celestial Seer shook his head. Destiny has been overturned, and the 4 nations of Geoja will change accordingly. The star that alters fate has begun to shine. That's all I can tell you. I can't say more. He smiled wryly, his silver hair standing out against his gray attire. William Thatcher sighed softly. In truth, I have seen. Hearing this, Celestial Seer was slightly taken aback. William Thatcher continued. On the night of the celestial upheaval, I used the forbidden blood weave mat technique. I saved her, and I also saw. He suddenly paused, hesitating at a crucial point. Ah, I can't say now. Heaven's secrets cannot be revealed. Celestial Seer. Surely not. I am a master astrologer and fortune teller, yet I only receive vague hints. Why can you, a mere swordsmith, see visions? Moreover, to stop speaking at this point is too much, isn't it? And the phrase, Heaven's secrets cannot be revealed. Sounds so odd, doesn't it? Celestial Seer swallowed his frustration, deciding not to bicker with William Thatcher, relying on his 180 years of cultivation. William Thatcher casually spoke again. Today is the selection day at the Academy. His Majesty has ordered the Big Dipper 7 to attend, which is quite unusual. Celestial Seer calmed himself. The rumbling of carriages from the northern star. It seems war is imminent. His Majesty wants to use military force, which is why he is hastily selecting talents. William Thatcher smiled. Unfortunately, for members of the Big Dipper 7 are absent this time. For people? Celestial Seer found it strange as well. He himself was absent because he divined that it was not a good day to travel. William Thatcher's poor condition was obviously due to the injuries from using the forbidden technique. But what about the other two? Why didn't Tian Quan come? He set off, but got lost on the way, going around in circles, and ultimately couldn't make it in time. That's a mistake. We should have sent someone to pick him up. What about Dao Quang? David Grant suspects someone has infiltrated the contestants to assassinate him, and he declared he wouldn't come until the backgrounds of their ancestors were thoroughly investigated. So, I guess the roll call isn't finished yet. Celestial Seer once again relied on his 180 years of cultivation to maintain a smile. Cloudspire Academy, Harperch Hall. The Scripture Studies examiner and Lily Evans stared at each other, face to face. You don't know a single thing. He was so angry that his mustache bristled, wondering how a student who couldn't answer such a simple question dared to participate in the exam. He picked up a pen, ready to cross out her name on the bamboo slip. Seeing the red mark about to be made, Lily Evans' heart raced. Wait, aren't there 2 more subjects? The Scripture Studies examiner looked at the remaining subjects, rhetoric and strategy, and sneered. Ridiculous, not knowing Scripture Studies, and still wanting to tackle the other challenging subjects, daydreaming. Let me try. Lily Evans pleaded. The Scripture Studies examiner handed the bamboo slip to the person next to him, raising an eyebrow. The rhetoric examiner lazily took the bamboo slip, determined to give Lily Evans a clear failure. Azure color, bitter taste, hardens in water. Dragon scale stone, often ground into dye. Lily Evans quickly answered. Vein-like patterns, extremely light material. Skybird, grows in autumn, commonly used for making paper. Paper made from it is as tough as cloth and as light as a feather. The rhetoric examiner was quite surprised. He had intentionally chosen the most difficult questions, yet Lily Evans answered them correctly. However, rhetoric is not like other subjects. It involves more than simple Q&A. He took out 3 porcelain cups from under the table, each containing a clear liquid. Of these 3 cups, 2 contain regular water, and 1 contains colorless, odorless jade soul stone. Point out which cup holds the jade soul stone. Jade essence is a colorless fuel extracted from a plant called jade branch. Just a drop can light a lamp all day and night, making it extremely valuable. Lily Evans stepped forward and pointed to the middle cup. This one. The person did not express an opinion. Why? Lily Evans blinked. Earlier, when placing them down, the 2 cups of water on the sides had ripples, but this one did not. 2 cups of water, 1 cup of jade essence. Clearly, the different one must be chosen. Oh, the book didn't mention this. If you're wrong, you'll have to leave. I'm sure. Lily Evans did not hesitate. She truly felt there was something unusual about the cup in the middle. Very well. The person smiled. Miss, I was the one who answered this question last time. Do you know how I did it? As he spoke, he took out a lighter from his pocket and lit the porcelain cup in the middle. In an instant, flames flared up, covering the entire surface of the cup. It didn't say you couldn't burn it. Jade essence is flammable. I tried to see what would happen. His actions, though somewhat wasteful, were impeccable, even though what he burned was an expensive cup of jade essence. Jade essence is flammable but heavier than water, so the surface of the cup has no ripples. His tone remained lazy as before. But the fact that it's heavier than water isn't written in books, so many people don't know. Young lady, You observe keenly without being bound by conventions. I like that. His flamboyant demeanor and words were carefree, not feeling any sense of wrongdoing. He handed a bamboo stick to the side, raising his eyes to look directly at Lily Evans. Good luck passing. Remember, my name is Tristan Riley. Chapter 21. Beginnings with just words distinguishing items should not have been as difficult as strategy, but it still sent shivers down one's spine, due to the examiner who set the question, Tristan Riley. Historically, students who participated in the item differentiation test were always criticized harshly by Tristan Riley, to the point of wanting to disappear, or scolded so much that even dogs wouldn't eat. His praise for Lily Evans this time was indeed rare. But the higher the tree, the stronger the wind. In an instant, all eyes in Harperch Hall focused on Lily Evans. They wanted to see what was so exceptional about this petite, seemingly young girl that earned her Tristan Riley's favor. Unbeknownst to Lily Evans, Vincent Sterling, observing from outside, snorted on her behalf. Unexpectedly, little Lily Evans has some skills. Though her scripture studies are a mess, she has some talent in item differentiation. He squinted, not sparing his praise, but received a sideways glance from his cousin Clara Howard. Humph, she just got lucky. Wait until the next strategy test. Let's see how she handles it. If item differentiation was an insanely difficult test, then strategy was a death sentence. Clearly, forging a sword is just about melting, casting, tempering, and sharpening. Who would have thought that ordinary iron could be related to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the essence of the sun and moon? In the entire Northern Empire, how many blacksmiths can imbue weapons with strategy like William Thatcher? This question clearly challenges people. That's why so many candidates, upon seeing the word strategy, become paralyzed with fear, with some even dropping out of the exam altogether. When Tristan Riley handed Lily Evans' bamboo slip to the person next to him, that person was still nodding off like a pecking chicken. Hey, wake up! Someone is here to take the strategy exam. Tristan Riley lazily nudged the person. The person yawned, eyes half closed. Oh, strategy! If you pass the first two subjects, you don't need to take this one. Just pass it. His voice dragged on, soft and sleepy. And if not? His drowsy eyes suddenly flashed with a sharp light. Do you think imbuing ordinary iron with strategy is just wishful thinking? Of course not. Lily Evans replied immediately. She had witnessed William Thatcher forge a sword with strategy, a scene so beautiful, divine, and solemn that it was etched into her memory. How could it be called wishful thinking? The person propped himself up. Good, you're not a fool who thinks this question is meant to make things difficult. His words were rather harsh, seemingly sweeping away those who had mocked the idea of forging with strategy. People on the outskirts blushed, clearly having once thought that forging with strategy was absurd and impossible, believing Cloudspire Academy set the question to deliberately challenge them. This was obviously not a straightforward question, but it was an effective way to weed out hypocrites. If you believe that strategy is possible, then pursue it for a lifetime. If you believe that strategy is impossible, then what you learn is merely empty theory. Where does the soul used for strategy come from? The person asked slowly. From all things in the world, Lily Evans replied, her thoughts drifting far away. It was when she and William Thatcher were returning from the Shadowlands to the Northern Empire. Once imprisoned as a child, now free, the little mermaid was extremely lively. She was curious about everything and loved to ask questions. She pointed to the birds in the trees and asked, Master, they're chirping, but why can't I understand what they're saying? The young man in white patiently replied, They're not chirping, they're talking. Humans have human language, birds have bird language, each a way of communication. He smiled. Perhaps the two birds in the tree are also asking each other what this child is saying that they don't understand. So grass can talk too? Trees can talk too? Can the horses pulling the carriage talk too? They all have their own languages and emotions. So if I hit them, will they feel pain? Yes, but they don't speak our language, so you wouldn't know. They don't cry or laugh. Lily Evans, everything has a soul. The soul is the origin of all things. Spirits are also souls, and nature originates from everything in the world. The young man with harsh words smiled, but it seemed he wasn't mocking. Since ancient times, sword forging has involved rituals, using living beings as offerings, cleansing the blade with fresh blood to absorb some spiritual energy. You say everything, but the world isn't just living beings. There are also inanimate objects. Do metals and stones have spiritual energy too? Before Lily Evans could respond, the crowd outside started buzzing. Of course not. Stones and wood can't talk. They don't feel anything. How could they have spiritual energy? Just wait until your millstone turns into a spirit and scares you, ha ha ha. Try knocking on that pillar and see if it reacts. Lily Evans pressed her lips together, not intending to change her words. The young man thought she was just stubbornly defending herself, but she suddenly spoke. The wind can moan and howl, the sea rises and falls, the earth can be cultivated or made into pottery, metals and stones come from different mineral veins and mountain ranges. They are inanimate, but they have their own existence laws. Don't they have spiritual energy? Hearing this, the young man's expression turned serious. Interesting. If that's the case, tell me which step in sword forging involves spiritual imbuement. He seemed to suspect the young girl might not even know the basic steps of sword forging, so he emphasized each word. Melting, casting, tempering, or sharpening. Or is it between two steps? This was indeed a challenging question, as very few people successfully imbue spirits, let alone know the exact step it occurs. The crowd outside began murmuring again. Just melting, right? Aren't the creatures thrown straight into the forge? Humph, it can't be that simple. I think it's definitely the final step, like a wizard casting a spell, imbuing spirits at the end. Come on, like opening the eyes of a statue. Seeing Lily Evans deep in thought, the strict young man raised an eyebrow, seemingly thinking she'd struggle. Just when he thought Lily Evans had given up, the young girl hesitantly spoke. I feel, it seems, that every step involves spiritual imbuement. Indeed, every step involves spiritual imbuement. When melting sand or extracting the essence of stone, forged in the red fire, absorbing the quintessence of the flames, pouring molten metal into cold water, converging ice cold, sharpened in the wind and frost, granting sharpness. Borrowing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the power of the stars, the light of the sun and moon, pouring all heart and soul. There isn't a single step called enchanting, but every step is enchanting. The young man's usually half-closed eyes suddenly opened wide, as if wanting to see clearly the young girl in front of him. He smiled, drawing a red circle on the bamboo slip. Whether you guessed it or not, congratulations. Lily Evans looked at the bamboo slip handed to her, still a bit hesitant. Had she really passed the exam on her own? Unfortunately, before the joy could rise in her heart, a voice of accusation suddenly interrupted. She must have cheated. Chapter 22. Who are you accusing of cheating? The accusing voice rang out abruptly, sharp and clear, unmistakably belonging to a woman. Lily Evans turned her head to look and discovered the troublemaker was Clara Howard. She clenched her red-marked bamboo slip, feeling indignant. Although she had intended to cheat, her master and senior sister had stopped her. This test was entirely based on her own abilities, so on what grounds did Clara dismiss her achievement? Lily Evans responded bluntly. On what basis are you accusing me of cheating? Do you have any evidence? Heaven and earth bear witness. She could swear that she didn't even have a tiny piece of paper on her. The writing of the merfolk in her hometown was ugly. Not only were the characters large and crooked, but the radicals were often mixed up, placing the radical of one character on top of another. Having her meticulously write a tiny note was indeed more painful than using a knife to scrape fish scales. Clara Howard, in a pink dress fluttering in the wind, stormed over. First, she disdainfully looked Lily Evans up and down, feigning disgust, then began to search her thoroughly. From her hair to her shoes, not even a scrap of paper was found. Clara Howard's face gradually turned sour, but she still refused to give up. "You must have cheated. If you didn't have a note, then someone must have been prompting you." As soon as the words were spoken, the crowd surrounding Lily Evans quickly dispersed. They were just there for the excitement, not wanting to get involved in any cheating scandal. "It wasn't me. Don't look at me." The person Clara Howard pointed to waved their hands and stepped back. "I didn't do it either." The next person, now under suspicion, widened their eyes in fear. "Then it must be you. How could it be?" The question she got was about distinguishing items and strategy. "Even if we wanted to help her cheat, we wouldn't know how." "I don't believe it. That girl is both dumb and slow. How could she pass the exam on her own?" Hey, speak clearly. You have no evidence to accuse me of cheating, so how can you just randomly slander me?" Lily Evans stood with her hands on her hips. "There's no way she passed on her own." Clara Howard gritted her teeth. "If there's no paper on her, then she might have written it on her body. Take off your clothes and let me see." With that, she tried to grab Lily Evans' clothes. Clara Howard acted recklessly, doing whatever she pleased, unaware that her behavior was no different from a bitter old woman. Lily Evans covered her chest to avoid Clara's hands. This girl was outrageous. Taking off her clothes in front of everyone would be humiliating. Even though she wasn't human, as a mermaid, she couldn't just let people see her at will. "If you refuse to take off your clothes, it means you're guilty," Clara Howard said, raising her head. "Do I have to take off my clothes just because you suspect me without evidence?" Lily Evans couldn't understand her logic. "If that's the case, I suspect you too. You should take off your clothes. If you don't, it means you're guilty." "You?" This young girl, though young, had a sharp tongue and pretended to be pitiful in front of William Thatcher, making him indifferent to Clara. She wasn't easy to deal with. In the Hall of Justice, the atmosphere was tense, like a tightly drawn string, and even a sneeze could spark a fire. The spirit master who had given Lily Evans the question suddenly cleared his throat, breaking the suffocating tension. "In Cloudspire Academy, if you raise a question, you must seek an answer," he said clearly. "You suspect her of cheating. You've ruled out the possibility of hidden notes, and denied anyone whispering answers. So why not consider that we, the instructors, might show favoritism?" Clara Howard hesitated immediately. The esteemed instructors are fair and just. They would never do such a thing." "On what basis do you claim we wouldn't? Is it merely your shallow understanding of us?" The person smiled and countered. Lily Evans, standing nearby, was stunned. Could there really be someone who exposes their own faults like this? The instructor of scripture studies beside them was furious, his hair and beard bristling. "Kevin Hughes, what nonsense are you spouting? How could we, as instructors, cheat?" Tristan Riley also raised an eyebrow, curious about what Kevin Hughes was up to. Kevin Hughes maintained his languid demeanor, like someone perpetually sleep-deprived. "Yet you don't suspect us at all. Is it because you don't dare?" Certainly no one dares. Even if they truly suspect favoritism, who would speak up? Accusing one is akin to doubting all the instructors, surely inciting their wrath. A cold sweat trickled down Clara Howard's smooth forehead, her cherry-red lips trembling like leaves in the wind. I wouldn't dare question the integrity of the instructors." "Very well. So are you bullying the weak?" Kevin Hughes squinted. "Does accusing this girl benefit you in any way?" No. Clara Howard's face turned pale. If that's the case, with no evidence and no one to prove the girl cheated, let's consider this matter resolved, Kevin Hughes said calmly. Now, the girl should remain silent, right? Lily Evans clutched the bamboo slip she had worked hard to earn, almost in tears. No. Clara Howard trembled all over. I refuse to believe no one helped her. How could she answer rhetoric and strategy correctly on her own? It must be William Thatcher. William Thatcher surely leaked the questions to her. As soon as she finished speaking, Harperch Hall fell silent. William Thatcher, the William White Celestial Sovereign. Cheating? Everyone's expression turned grim, even the 3 celestial sovereigns seated at the highest point looked puzzled. Jade Walker, clad in fiery red, stood up and yawned loudly. Oh, then I must see who this girl is, to have connections with William Thatcher. Seeing the disbelief on the instructors' faces, Clara Howard anxiously added, She is William Thatcher's disciple. It's not surprising if he helped her. William Thatcher, disciple? It was like a drop of water in boiling oil. Harperch Hall erupted into chaos. That petite girl is William Thatcher's disciple? Is this a joke? Jade Walker nudged Kyle Young beside him. Hey, blockhead, why doesn't Autumn Bell look like this to us? Could it be that an 18-year-old girl changes so drastically, like a complete transformation? Kyle Young looked puzzled. Who is Autumn Bell? Celestial Healer, who had been sitting properly, smiled and explained. She is William Thatcher's second disciple, recently accepted. I met her when I went to see him heal someone. Jade Walker, surprised, pointed at him. You met her and didn't tell us? Celestial Healer smiled warmly, a mischievous glint in his eyes. If I told you, where would the fun be? Young lady, are you the disciple of Celestial Sovereign? The scripture studies instructor asked with a trembling voice. Lily Evans smiled shyly. Yes. Today, it seemed she had caused quite a stir. She wondered if she had embarrassed her master. Kevin Hughes looked at her strangely, then turned to Clara Howard. If she is a disciple of Celestial Sovereign, she wouldn't need to cheat. A direct disciple of the Big Dipper 7 can enter the academy without taking the exam. Chapter 23. Unnecessary kindness. Her rural mermaid body stiffened, even showing a few suspicious cracks. What? A disciple of the Big Dipper 7 can enter the academy directly without exams? Then why did William Thatcher make her take the test? Perhaps her confused expression was too obvious, as Kevin Hughes, who was relaxed, also noticed something. He raised an eyebrow, looking puzzled. You didn't know? Didn't Celestial Sovereign tell you? Oh, it seems he did mention it. Lily Evans was bewildered. My master only said if I didn't pass the Cloudspire Academy exam, he would make me clean the latrines while learning on the side. Kevin Hughes almost lost his composure, wondering since when did Celestial Sovereign come up with such ideas? But being a respected instructor, he quickly adopted a kind expression. Young lady, you must be joking. Surely Celestial Sovereign wants to train you, that's why he said that. The latrines in Cloudspire Academy have dedicated staff for cleaning. Outsiders are not allowed. Lily Evans. So her master truly wanted to train her? Then my exam? Lily Evans asked anxiously. Does it still count as passing? Could it be that just because she unnecessarily took the exam, it would be voided? You didn't cheat. Your results are based on your own abilities, so of course, it counts as passing. The scripture studies instructor, who had been silent, stroked his long beard and said, That's good. Lily Evans said, then picked up her bamboo stick and left the courtyard, blending back into the crowd without realizing she had become the center of attention. Especially for Vincent Sterling, who was staring at her as if he'd seen a ghost. Vincent Sterling? Lily Evans checked herself. Is there something on me? Why are you looking at me like that? Vincent Sterling trembled, pointing at Lily Evans. You, you're actually the disciple of the celestial sovereign. Lily Evans nodded, puzzled by Vincent Sterling's stuttering. Could stuttering be contagious? Ah, that celestial sovereign, practically a legendary figure of the Northern Empire. She had dreamed of hearing his lectures, yet this young girl, accepted as his disciple, seemed indifferent. Vincent Sterling was momentarily breathless, eyes rolling back as he fainted. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Lily Evans panicked, trying to support the boy who was a head taller than her. But she was weak, and could only manage to hold him up to prevent him from falling. She turned to Ian Norris, who stood frozen beside her. Had William Thatcher done something terrible? Why did everyone look at her, as if they'd seen a ghost in broad daylight? The selection at the Academy concluded, with only 30 chosen out of 300 candidates. The women in purple dresses reappeared, handing tokens to the 30 selected. Lily Evans looked at the blue silk ribbon embroidered with clouds in her hand and curiously asked, "Sister, is this ribbon a reward?" The woman in purple, tying the ribbon for her, covered her mouth with a laugh and looked at the innocent girl rumored to be the celestial sovereign's disciple. "Little sister, this is Cloudhaven, a token for entering the Academy. You must wear it to attend lectures. Don't lose it." Realizing its importance, Lily Evans, knowing her own clumsiness, feared losing it and quickly asked the woman in purple, "Sister, please tie it tighter for me." The woman in purple smiled mischievously but didn't move. Vincent Sterling, having just regained consciousness and wearing his own Cloudhaven, couldn't help but roll his eyes. "Fool, I don't know what the celestial sovereign saw in you. Your name is already registered at Cloudspire Academy, so even if you lose Cloudhaven, you can get a replacement." The woman in purple smirked. "Oh dear, caught teasing the little girl." Once everyone's Cloudhaven was secured, the women in purple completed the registration and withdrew. Lily Evans thought the ceremony was over, but suddenly, a group of people in fine clothes and small hats respectfully followed someone into Harpurge Hall. The person had a pale face and no beard, with a sharp voice, likely the eunuch her master had mentioned. "That's good," Lily Evans said, then took her bamboo stick and left the courtyard, blending into the crowd, completely unaware that she had become the center of attention. Especially Vincent Sterling, who was looking at her as if he had seen a ghost. "Vincent Sterling?" Lily Evans checked herself. "Is there something on me? Why are you looking at me like that?" Vincent Sterling trembled, pointing at Lily Evans. You are actually a disciple of the celestial sovereign." Lily Evans nodded, but couldn't understand why Vincent Sterling was stuttering. Could stuttering be contagious? Ah, that is the celestial sovereign, practically a legendary figure of the Northern Empire. It was a dream to attend his lectures, yet this young girl, accepted as his disciple, seemed indifferent. Vincent Sterling suddenly gasped, his eyes rolled back, and he fainted. Oh! Lily Evans panicked, trying to support the boy who was a head taller than her. She was weak, barely able to keep him from falling to the ground. She turned to Ian Norris, who stood frozen nearby. Had William Thatcher done something terrible? Why did everyone look at her as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight? The Academy's selection event ended today, with only 30 out of 300 people chosen. The women in purple dresses appeared again, handing tokens to the 30 selected. Lily Evans looked at the sky blue ribbon embroidered with cloud patterns in her hand and curiously asked, "Sister, is this ribbon a reward?" The woman in purple, tying the ribbon for her, laughed and looked at the naive girl rumored to be the celestial sovereign's disciple. "Little sister, this is Cloudhaven, the token for entering the Academy. You must wear it to attend lectures, so don't lose it." Realizing its importance, Lily Evans, knowing she was clumsy, feared she might lose it. She quickly asked the woman in purple to tie it tighter. The woman in purple smiled mischievously, not moving. Vincent Sterling, just waking up with a Cloudhaven on his hand, couldn't help but roll his eyes. Fool, I don't know what the Celestial Sovereign saw in you. The student list is already registered at Cloudspire Academy, so even if you lose Cloudhaven, it can be replaced. The woman in purple smiled. Oh dear, caught teasing the little girl. Once everyone's Cloudhaven was secured, the women in purple completed the registration and stepped back. Lily Evans thought the ceremony was over, but suddenly a group of people in fine robes and small hats entered Harpurge Hall, respectfully following someone inside. The person had a pale face without a beard and a sharp voice, likely the eunuch her master had mentioned. Aren't eunuchs supposed to be in the palace? Why was he here? While Lily Evans was still puzzled, Vincent Sterling pressed her to kneel. What are you looking at? He's here to announce an imperial decree. Kneel down, the sharp-voiced person announced. By the Emperor's decree, all students selected in the Cloudspire Grand Tournament are to enter the palace for a banquet at the hour of the snake tomorrow. So ordered. After Cloudspire's master received the imperial decree and expressed gratitude, everyone stood up. Vincent Sterling muttered, Never before have students who passed the entrance exam been summoned to the palace for a banquet. What's going on this year? It's truly strange. First, they had the Big Dipper 7 participate in the selection ceremony, and now they're inviting successful students to the palace banquet. What exactly is Emperor Winnie planning this year? He still didn't understand the intentions of his royal uncle when he turned around to see Lily Evans walking away briskly. Vincent Sterling hurried to catch up, his previously proud demeanor of a noble son suddenly transforming into a fawning smile. Little Lily Evans. The overly sweet voice almost made Lily Evans trip. Are you possessed or something? Vincent Sterling cleared his throat. Are you going alone, or shall I escort you back? No need. My senior sister has already arranged for a carriage to wait. Lily Evans pointed into the distance, just in time to catch Stanley Stone's gaze. Vincent Sterling rolled his eyes. Your carriage is from Verdant Forge. Too simple. Why not ride with me? It's spacious, comfortable, and quite beautiful. Lily Evans sensed something was off. Why are you being so attentive? After being deceived and sold last time, she had become more cautious with everyone. Unprovoked kindness often hides ulterior motives. Well, we'll be schoolmates from now on, so of course, we should look out for each other a bit. Then why don't you offer Ian Norris a ride? You're a girl, it's more dangerous. As for Ian Norris, even if left on the street, no one would bother picking him up. But on our first day as friends, why are you not giving me face? Besides, you're the disciple of Celestial Sovereign. I wouldn't dare sell you, would I? Vincent Sterling spoke while coaxing, finally managing to get Lily Evans into his carriage, then ordered someone to dismiss Stanley Stone, who was waiting. As soon as Lily Evans sat down, she saw that it was just as Vincent Sterling had said. The interior was spacious and comfortable, with snacks and tea already prepared. The carriage sped along swiftly, and soon arrived at Verdant Forge. Having eaten her fill, Lily Evans jumped out of the carriage. Thank you, Vincent Sterling. Vincent Sterling trailed behind, rubbing his hands expectantly. So, little Lily Evans, since I brought you back, won't you invite me in for a bit? Chapter 24. Wanting to cling, Vincent Sterling's intentions were as clear as day. He wanted to come in, and if he could meet his idol, Celestial Sovereign, all the better. Unfortunately, this little scheme was exposed by Lily Evans. The little mermaid put her hands on her hips, her small face full of suspicion. Oh, I know. You definitely want to meet my master. Then let me in. Even when exposed, Vincent Sterling wasn't embarrassed. He was willing to throw away his dignity to meet his idol. No way. This guy came to steal her master, and she absolutely couldn't let him succeed. Lily Evans firmly refused. little Lily Evans, the most gentle, lovely, intelligent, and kind-hearted beauty in the world. Vincent Sterling began his familiar sweet-talking routine, showering Lily Evans with flattery. If it were an ordinary girl being courted by such a handsome young man, she might have blushed and agreed long ago, but Lily Evans crossed her arms, her expression as if to say, "We mermaids are naturally gentle, lovely, kind, and dignified." This noisy scene caught the attention of a young man in white from afar. William Thatcher frowned slightly, watching the well-dressed young man sweet-talk Lily Evans and occasionally try to touch her, feeling a surge of discomfort. Where did this scoundrel come from, daring to come to the door to seduce Lily Evans, thinking he was dead or something? Lily Evans was still young and naive, while the other was smooth-talking and cunning, clearly not a suitable match. The fish he had painstakingly raised was attracting a stray cat to lurk around, and a murderous aura rose around William Thatcher as he strode towards the two, determined to take away his fish tank. Vincent Sterling was unaware that he had been placed on his idol's blacklist as having bad intentions, still pleading with Lily Evans to let him in. "No way!" Lily Evans refused once more, suddenly catching a familiar cold scent. The faint fragrance was like plum blossoms covered in fresh snow, like a clear stream in a forest. Her amber eyes lit up. "It's Master!" William Thatcher hadn't yet approached when his little disciple called out to him, a smile tugging at his lips. Just as he was about to speak, the gate of his small courtyard opened, revealing a corner of red maple leaves. It turned out Autumn Belle had heard the commotion outside and was opening the door. The idle young master who kept clinging to Lily Evans suddenly seemed to go mad, like a hungry dog pouncing on prey, grabbing onto Autumn Belle's leg and babbling. "Ah, I've got it! I've got it! It's the leg of the Celestial Sovereign! Boo-hoo, Celestial Sovereign! I am Vincent Sterling, the heir Richard Sterling, and I've admired your swordsmanship since I was 8. He thought it was simple. Lily Evans had just called out, "Master!" And as the door opened, the person who stepped out must be the legendary Celestial Sovereign. Unexpectedly, Autumn Belle was frightened by his actions. Being a composed and courteous person, she felt uneasy being suddenly embraced and couldn't clearly hear what he was saying. Moreover, the man clung tightly to her leg with an infatuated expression. Autumn Belle gathered energy into her core and suddenly kicked. "Scoundrel, get lost!" Though she was young and not very perceptive, she practiced diligently like a woodpecker every day. Her martial skills were genuine, and her strength was not something a pampered young master like Vincent Sterling could match. Thus, with a single thud, her kick hit its mark, sending Vincent Sterling flying in an arc through the air, rolling several times on the ground, and stopping right at William Thatcher's feet. William Thatcher. Vincent Sterling only heard a shout and, before he could recover from the disappointment of, "I didn't hug the Celestial Sovereign," he was kicked away, like a rag doll by the rude woman. A corner of a white robe brushed past his eyes before he could see who it was. He managed a weak cough as Lily Evans and the rude woman rushed over. "Too late. This young master is gravely injured now. Your flattery is useless." Vincent Sterling rolled his eyes and extended his hand. "Hurry and help this young master up." But his hand was ignored, as Lily Evans and Autumn Belle naturally ran towards William Thatcher. "Master, master, today I passed the academy entrance exam on my own," Lily Evans chirped. She had forgotten she still needed to settle accounts with William Thatcher about the toilet cleaning incident, her entire face pleading for praise. Autumn Belle also wore an expectant look she couldn't hide. "Master, I've completed the assignments you gave me." Vincent Sterling. His hand hung in the cold wind, like a dying candle next to a withered lotus leaf, as the two ignored the injured person lying on the ground. Suddenly, warmth spread across his palm. A gentle force helped him to his feet. Before he could marvel at the fickleness of people, a figure loomed over him. Before him, dressed in white like gentle ripples, stood a tall figure, silhouetted against the light, blurry like a dream. The hot blood in his chest surged, and a voice seemed to echo in his ears. That is the celestial sovereign. Heaven. Celestial sovereign? William Thatcher bent down, looking at the dazed young man, and brushed the dust off him. Are you all right? Autumn Bell was a bit eager earlier, and might have been too harsh. Did it hurt? Though not much older than the young man, William Thatcher's voice carried a protective warmth, akin to an elder's care. This tone, combined with his gentle smile, like a crescent moon, made his pure and serene appearance even more approachable. Autumn Bell realized her mistake, stiffly bowed to apologize to Vincent Sterling, looking like a broken piece of wood. I'm sorry, I mistook you for a villain and kicked you. No, it's okay. Vincent Sterling replied absent-mindedly, his eyes still glued to William Thatcher. Physical pain meant nothing to him. Even if he were torn apart now, he wouldn't miss the chance to admire the demeanor of the celestial sovereign. Oh, today I must not wash my hands. These are the hands personally held by the celestial sovereign. This outfit cannot be washed. It must be carefully stored. It's the one the celestial sovereign personally touched. His dazed expression caught Lily Evans's eye, making him look like a fool. Lily Evans carefully nudged Autumn Bell, whispering, Senior sister, did you kick his head? It seems like he has a mental problem now. Autumn Bell became very uneasy, clenching her clothes tightly. What should we do? I heard treating mental issues is very expensive. She was an orphan, with only her master William Thatcher as her sole family. But this time, she caused trouble and couldn't let her master spend money. Autumn Bell thought, maybe I should perform on the street. Lily Evans frowned. Senior sister, it's also my fault. Maybe you should hit me and make me cry. While the two sisters quietly discussed ways to earn money for treatment, William Thatcher had already headed towards the small courtyard. After a while, the three children were still standing there, and he said helplessly, What are you doing outside? Hurry and come in. Oh. Lily Evans responded, then saw the mentally broken future classmates suddenly leap up excitedly and follow William Thatcher into the courtyard. Lily Evans. Are humans' recovery abilities really that strong? Chapter 25. Imperial Garden Banquet. Originally, Lily Evans wanted to proudly tell her master about her impressive performance at Hartpurch Hall today. However, with Vincent Sterling present, the little mermaid dared not exaggerate and instead truthfully recounted what she had seen and heard. Well, this shows that our little Lily Evans is very capable, being able to enter the academy on her own. William Thatcher praised without reservation. The little mermaid blushed, raising her wrist adorned with Cloudhaven. That Majesty also invited us to a banquet at the palace. Lily Evans blinked. Master, does attending a banquet mean eating? Yes. William Thatcher replied with a mix of amusement and helplessness. And? Majesty is a title, not a name. He had already guessed the situation, so he wasn't surprised that Cloud Spire Academy students were invited to the banquet. Oh, Lily Evans responded, her eyes lighting up. Is Master going to the party tomorrow? Since the new students like them were invited to the party, it was unlikely that Big Dipper 7 would not be invited. Lily Evans calculated silently. If her master went with her, she wouldn't be afraid of being bullied by Clara Howard. Seeing her expectant expression, William Thatcher sighed inwardly. Lily Evans was still young, with a naive and straightforward personality. Although somewhat clever, she still liked to act spoiled and rely on others. She was far from mature and far from being able to handle everything on her own. Yet the gears of fate had already begun to turn, and whether she wanted it or not, the star born from the south had to step onto her own path. As for the current peace of the Northern Empire, who knew how long it would last? His wings were vast, But could they protect a mermaid like her in this perilous world? William Thatcher shook his head and said the words that disappointed Lily Evans. I won't be attending the party tomorrow. The status of Big Dipper 7 was noble, and he disliked such formalities and lavish banquets, often choosing not to attend, so Henry Sterling tactfully did not extend an invitation. This time, Henry Sterling not only summoned the students to the palace, but also invited many seasoned teachers from the academy. There might be praise and encouragement, but likely much of it was due to the emperor's personal motives. As expected, upon hearing this, the little mermaid's eyes dimmed slightly, but she was unwilling to give up, always feeling something was missing without William Thatcher by her side. After thinking for a while, she hesitantly said, Master, Vincent Sterling said it's dangerous for a girl to go out alone. Do I really have to go to the party by myself? She shamelessly added, Even though I look ordinary now, I will definitely be a great beauty in the future. What if someone sees that and kidnaps me? Where did this little girl get the confidence that she would grow up to be a great beauty? William Thatcher, both amused and annoyed, pinched Lily Evans' cheek. Let me see. What does a future beauty look like? With her cheek pinched, Lily Evans mumbled unclearly but continued to describe the dangers of attending the banquet alone. She intended to make William Thatcher worry enough to accompany her, but a voice interrupted from the side. Since entering the room of the celestial sovereign, Vincent Sterling felt even his presence was elevated. Hearing that the celestial sovereign's second disciple might be kidnapped, he quickly jumped in, excitedly saying, Rest assured, celestial sovereign, if anyone tries to lay a hand on little Lily Evans, they'll have to go through me first. Lily Evans. This sycophant secretly infatuated with my master. Why are you everywhere? His earnest vow actually reassured William Thatcher a bit more. Then I'll entrust little Lily Evans to you tomorrow. Sorry for the trouble. Celestial Sovereign apologized for troubling him. Vincent Sterling clutched his chest, nearly fainting again with excitement, completely ignoring Lily Evans' murderous glare beside him. The Northern Empire's royal palace is located at the heart of Riverford. Majestic blue stones form towering palace walls, layered with azure-glazed tiles. The main entrance is an arch shaped like a sword, reaching skyward with an extraordinary aura. Inside, the palace is even more breathtaking, seemingly built upon water. Palaces and pavilions stand amidst clear blue waters, connected by floating bridges. 12 such bridges extend in all directions, the vast water surface resembling a grand night sky, with structures glittering like falling stars. The entire palace appears as a giant celestial map. If Lily Evans had never seen the sea, she might think this is what the ocean should look like. Since it was a banquet, one should dress splendidly. However, William Thatcher, never one for details, dressed haphazardly, relying solely on his natural charm. When it came to women's clothing, he could only distinguish fabrics, knowing nothing else. Relying on Autumn Belle was futile, as she could barely tell a dress from trousers. Ultimately, it was Vincent Sterling who generously provided Lily Evans with an outfit. He aimed to win William Thatcher's favor, so he spared no expense. The attire was made from Dawnbreaker's special Featherlight Potion fabric, with embroidery and embellishments crafted by skilled artisans. The moonlit white dress flowed like smoke, with sky-blue ribbons fluttering in the wind. Lily Evans, already slender, looked even more ethereal in this attire, like a celestial maiden. Vincent Sterling's maid styled her hair and applied makeup. Under the cosmetics, the hardships of Lily Evans' childhood seemed to vanish, revealing a stunning face with bright eyes and a pure, charming smile. The young gentleman stroked his chin, admiring her for a long time. Little Lily Evans, if you appeared like this and claimed to be kidnapped, I'd believe it. Lily Evans looked at herself in the mirror, immensely pleased, twirling to admire the dress. She smiled brightly, not hiding her affection for such beautiful things. The banquet was held in the imperial garden. Guests dismounted before the palace and walked in, surrounded by splendid scenery. Being a mermaid, Lily Evans naturally felt drawn to the water, and the water-based palace intrigued her greatly. Hey, don't lean on the railing, and definitely don't reach down to catch fish. Vincent Sterling quickly pulled her back, slightly exasperated. But since she was Celestial Sovereign's disciple, he had to take good care of her, constantly reminding her along the way. Little Lily Evans, don't jump around, walk slowly, yes, like me. When you meet others, you must bow. Hey, where are you? The one in the black dragon robe is Henry Sterling. When you meet him, kneel and don't look up. Are you listening? Put down the flower in your hand. Finally managing to get her settled in the imperial garden, Lily Evans calmed down a bit. At that moment, only palace servants carrying tea, pastries, and fruits moved among the guests. No dignitaries were in sight yet, and all attendees were from Cloud Spire Academy. Beside her, the lively girl waved her hand. Ian Norris, we're over here. Oh no, another fool, Vincent Sterling thought desperately, covering his face. Chapter 26. Praise me at the banquet. Many people sat together. Groups of 3 or 5 were quite common. Seeing Lily Evans waving, Ian Norris smiled. Hi, Lily Evans. He knew today was an important occasion, so he wore his best outfit. Although it still seemed shabby in Vincent Sterling's eyes, it was the best he could manage. Come sit here. Lily Evans patted the seat next to her, signaling Ian Norris. Thank you, Ian Norris said sincerely. He was honest, not good at socializing, and stuttered, often disliked by others. He had prepared himself to sit alone, but Lily Evans unexpectedly invited him to join her. Lily Evans smiled warmly. My master says that friends should treat each other well. We've agreed to be friends, so how could we not sit together? Hearing this, Vincent Sterling felt a bit embarrassed. He had plenty of people wanting to befriend him, so he didn't lack friends. He had just said it casually that day, not expecting Lily Evans to take it seriously. But Lily Evans was sincere and straightforward, sometimes a bit naive, yet mostly clever, and she was the disciple of Celestial Sovereign. Ian Norris, despite being poor and stuttering, was sincere and kind, making him worth befriending. Thus, Vincent Sterling said nothing to stop them, quietly sipping his tea to hide his awkwardness at having forgotten about friends. However, a vague worry arose in his heart. That day Clara Howard also passed the test, and now attending the banquet, what would she do? As he was pondering, he suddenly noticed a young girl sneaking into the hall. She was hunched over, her face covered with a scarf, and she had swapped her favorite pink dress for a plain light blue coat. She looked so much like Clara Howard, Vincent Sterling blurted out. Shoo! Clara Howard quickly covered his mouth. What Clara Howard? I'm Clara Howard now. She had sneaked out of the palace to take the exam, using a false name. Although she passed, it coincided with the king's banquet. So she bribed the royal doctor to fake an illness, and snuck out to attend the party. Vincent Sterling leaned closer, more surprised. Clara Howard, fearing her father would discover her, had not only smudged her face, but also added fake freckles. No wonder she used a scarf to cover her face. Her appearance was indeed startling. Princess Clara Howard certainly wouldn't sit alone. She glared. Hey, stutterer, move over. I want to sit here. Her fierce demeanor, combined with her unsightly face, frightened Ian Norris into trembling and quickly scooting over to make room. Clara Howard unceremoniously sat down, once again facing the radiant beauty of Lily Evans. That mud monkey was dressed elegantly, meticulously made up, while she... Not only was she not allowed to wear makeup, but she also had to make herself look worse. Clara Howard couldn't swallow her anger, pointing a finger at Lily Evans. Mud monkey, I won't let you look so beautiful smear your face. On any other day, Lily Evans would surely have argued back, saying her beauty was her own business and none of Clara's concern. But today, she was in a good mood and simply lifted her face to ask, "Beautiful? Really beautiful? Did you just say I'm beautiful?" Clara Howard. Vincent Sterling, who was caught in the middle and unsure whether to ease the tension, was instead amused by Lily Evans' persistent questioning, clutching his stomach in laughter. "Ha ha 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 ha, little Lily Evans, you're going to make me laugh to death. Did she just compliment me on my beauty? Yes, yes, yes. Then I won't hold it against her, hee." The banquet hadn't started yet. As they were still waiting for the late arrival of the royal family and nobility. Most of the attendees from Cloud Spire Academy were young, creating a naturally lively atmosphere. Meanwhile, in another corner of the palace, an intense battle of wits was unfolding over a chessboard. The person in white, with slender fingers like jade, was almost indistinguishable from the white chess pieces. A crisp click echoed as a piece fell onto the board, and it was William Thatcher, who had declared he wouldn't attend the banquet, who spoke up. "You're the one who had His Majesty host the banquet in the Imperial Garden, aren't you?" The person holding the black piece was handsome, dressed in purple with a gold belt, clearly of extraordinary status. He was the national advisor of the Northern Empire, and also the heavenly authority in the Big Dipper 7. After a moment of contemplation, the black piece fell, and Quentin Quinn leisurely said, "Don't say that. I didn't interpret the celestial signs, nor did I tell His Majesty that in this selection ceremony of Cloud Spire Academy, a new star of the Northern Empire would appear. Right? You merely piqued His Majesty's interest, prompting him to investigate who this person is." William Thatcher remained calm. "I suspect the idea of arranging this banquet was also yours, wasn't it? What's wrong with that? I see the children His Majesty values seem very happy." Quentin Quinn brushed his sleeve. "William Thatcher, you're like a sword, too straightforward. Some things, though you dislike them, are very useful." William Thatcher looked up at the person leisurely placing a piece opposite him. "Do you think this matter is as simple as you imagine?" Quentin Quinn's hand paused. "His Majesty isn't one to easily follow destiny. The new star of the Northern Empire, HMPF, among those children is Vincent Sterling, isn't there? Would His Majesty allow Prince Richard Sterling to become that new star? That's why His Majesty wants to place the prince in the academy." A black piece occupied a territory. With this banquet at the Imperial Garden, Henry Sterling not only wanted to quietly observe who truly had the potential to become the hope of the Northern Empire, but also intended to intervene in academy affairs, to have the current prince study at Cloud Spire Academy. William Thatcher's white piece hovered in midair, a vague thought suddenly flashing in his mind. Quentin Quinn, seeing his expression, comforted him. "I know your young apprentice is in there too. This matter only concerns the Emperor's martial arts and won't affect her." But his long, ink-black lashes lowered slightly as William Thatcher spoke in a deep voice. "What if they want to eliminate future threats?" "What?" Quentin Quinn was taken aback. William Thatcher's eyes grew even deeper. "If he sends the prince to Cloud Spire Academy, naturally he wants them to become new stars. If not, they still must." Quentin Quinn frowned. "Will he kill Vincent Sterling?" "If new stars must come from the royal family, those around with potential competition will inevitably be removed." William Thatcher sighed softly. "Perhaps not kill, just make him leave the academy." "The means to make him leave are worth pondering. It neither offends Richard Sterling nor deprives Vincent Sterling of the opportunity to enter the academy." Suddenly, William Thatcher stood up, straightened his attire, and casually picked up the silver mask Quentin Quinn once used as a national advisor. "Where are you going?" Quentin Quinn also stood, puzzled by his actions. William Thatcher tied his hair up, put on the mask, and his entire demeanor transformed. If moments ago, while playing chess, he was a gentle and refined mentor, now he resembled a young, spirited hero. He turned around, smiling slightly. "Going to fish out my apprentice. Seems she's fallen into murky waters." Chapter 27. Again begins. The banquet in the imperial garden had just begun. Henry Sterling, draped in a splendid dragon robe, sat regally at the head. As an emperor who rose from the battlefield, even without speaking, his narrow phoenix eyes shone sharply. In his prime, even at a feast, he sat upright, exuding a commanding presence. On either side of him were two young men, the second Prince Victor Sterling and the third Prince Henry Sterling Jr. of the court. The second Prince Victor Sterling had a fox-like face. Though elegant and refined in demeanor, he still gave off a slightly mischievous vibe. The third Prince Henry Sterling Jr. was handsome, with thick eyebrows and large eyes, rumored to have a rather unruly temperament. Lily Evans had no interest in them, but Vincent Sterling kept chattering in her ear. "All right, why are you telling me this? We'll only meet them once today. We won't see those two at Cloudspire Academy again." Lily Evans rolled her eyes, clutching a jug of wine tightly. She really liked this sweet, fruity wine, and soon the jug was nearly empty. Vincent Sterling's expression was a bit strange. "Who knows? We might meet them at the academy later. Father brought the two brothers to the banquet for a reason. He'll probably announce their entry into the academy for training soon." Whether it was Vincent Sterling's prediction or bad luck, his words proved true. Henry Sterling was not a particularly approachable person. Even when commanding a grand banquet like this, he only spoke twice. The first time was at the commencement of the feast, where he symbolically praised the students who had just passed the selection exams of Cloudspire Academy and expressed his profound expectations for them. The second time was as the banquet was nearing its end, when he announced that the two princes would also be attending Cloudspire Academy. This year, there were so many unusual occurrences related to the academy that no one was surprised. Everyone continuously expressed their welcome and respect for the two princes and then moved on. However, what happened next took everyone by surprise. The majestic emperor suggested organizing a game right within the royal palace. Henry Sterling, maintaining a calm demeanor, slowly said, "Today, I am pleased to meet many of the Empire's talents. My two sons are of similar age to you all and will be your classmates. Why not take this opportunity to play a game together to strengthen bonds?" 7 graceful maidens entered, each carrying a cage wrapped in golden thread, containing butterflies of various colors and species. Henry Sterling, still with an unchanged expression, leisurely said, "Since we are in the Imperial Garden, let's play a game of catching butterflies." As the maidens opened the golden cages to release the butterflies, they announced the rules. Glasswing butterfly, cherry blossom butterfly, moon whisper butterfly. The more beautiful the butterfly, the higher the points, ranging from 1 to 5 points. The final butterfly was released. This is the crimson ale butterfly, the one with the highest score, worth 10 points if caught. Lily Evans watched the beautiful butterflies intently. Why are there butterflies at this time of year? Moreover, they can fly. What if they fly out of the palace? Her questions were immediately answered. A dignified maiden smiled. Naturally, for the future talents of Cloudspire Academy, a regular butterfly catching game would be too dull. To add excitement, these butterflies are not ordinary. They are ancient butterflies created by magic. They will not fly beyond the Imperial Garden, and catching them will not be easy. This year's Academy selection has 30 candidates, plus the 2 princes, making 32 people. We'll divide into 8 groups, each with 4 people, to search for the ancient butterflies. The group with the highest score will receive the ephemeral pearl bestowed by His Majesty. The maiden smiled gently and clapped her hands, suddenly turning the Imperial Garden from day to night, leaving only a faint glow. While everyone was amazed at her ability, her gentle voice continued. To increase difficulty and limit the area, please begin the butterfly hunt in the dark. The time limit is 3 hours. After that, please return here. Her voice became faint. The Imperial Garden is not entirely safe. The game has begun. The surroundings immediately became noisy, while Emperor Wenwei and the 2 princes had already disappeared. This has it started already? Lily Evans was completely uninterested in this competition. After all, she wasn't particularly skilled and had no chance of winning the ephemeral pearl, so she focused on eating. While talking, her mouth was still full of pastries. Clara Howard gave her a disdainful glance. Country bumpkin, can you not embarrass yourself like this? If it weren't mandatory to have 4 people per group, I wouldn't want to team up with you at all. Lily Evans, you really don't have to force yourself, honestly. In contrast, Ian Norris was stunned. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're exactly 4 people. Vincent Sterling suddenly pulled Lily Evans, who was eating and drinking, his eyes shining like 2 candles. What are you standing there for? Let's go catch butterflies. That's the legendary ephemeral pearl that can control water. Uncle Hong is being so generous this time. Although very interested in controlling water, Lily Evans sensibly pointed at herself. Look at me. Do I look like someone who can catch butterflies? Vincent Sterling, of course, waved his hand dismissively. You're a girl, too. Aren't girls good at these things? Not to mention that girls must be good at catching butterflies. Lily Evans quirked her mouth. Look at that sister over there. With just a wave of her hand, the whole sky turned dark, and the butterflies were released. How could they be ordinary butterflies? Hearing this, Vincent Sterling was suddenly stunned. That's true. That person doesn't seem like an ordinary palace maid. He scratched his head in confusion, turning to Clara Howard beside him. Royal sister, have you seen this person in the palace before? Clara Howard rolled her eyes and spoke disdainfully. You guys are still talking about it. It's just a magic trick. What's so surprising? If you don't go catch butterflies, I'll go by myself. You're so slow. She grabbed Ian Norris, treating him like a servant for show. Hey, stutterer, let's go. Wait a minute. Ian Norris clung to the table, trying to tell her to wait a bit so everyone could go together. Unexpectedly, Princess Clara Howard was so forceful, Lily Evans wiped her mouth. It's just butterfly catching, let's go! So the 4 of them ran towards the Imperial Garden. The butterflies that had just been released immediately flapped their wings and flew away, and after talking for a while, they had no idea where they had gone. In the darkness, visibility was limited, obscuring the vibrant colors of the butterfly wings. Chapter 28. The ancient butterfly illusion. The Imperial Garden of the Northern Empire's palace was indeed vast, almost as large as the Verdant Forge estate. Moreover, the Imperial Garden not only had flowers and trees, but also many pavilions and towers interspersed. Annoyingly, the palace was built on water, with winding corridors and stone bridges connecting the areas, making it easy for people to get lost. At this moment, having Clara Howard with them was beneficial. Although the capricious princess was very whimsical, she was extremely familiar with the Imperial Garden. Thus, she became even more smug, strutting around as if she were very important. However, no matter how familiar she was with the Imperial Garden, finding a few butterflies in the dark was not an easy task. It's so dark, how can we find them? Clara Howard kicked away a stone blocking the path. Vincent Sterling, go find a light for me. Vincent Sterling held his head in frustration. 5th Royal Sister, where am I supposed to find a light for you now? All the lanterns in the Imperial Garden are out. We can't see them anywhere. Do we have to wait for them to come to us? Clara Howard sat down on the white jade railing, grumbling. Lily Evans, who was just tagging along, suddenly had an idea. Hey, don't butterflies eat nectar? She took out a flask of wine she had borrowed from the banquet. I think this wine has nectar in it. The jug was filled with top-quality fruit nectar wine, its sweet aroma incredibly alluring. Clara Howard took the jug and sniffed it, disdainfully saying, "There is indeed nectar in here, but didn't you hear? These butterflies are not ordinary ones. How could they possibly be attracted to this?" Before she could finish, a glass-winged butterfly fluttered over and gently perched on the rim of the jug. Clara Howard, although she felt a bit embarrassed, she dared not move, fearing she would scare the butterfly away. Seeing this, Vincent Sterling quickly grabbed his sleeve and reached for the butterfly, which shimmered with a pale blue hue. The vibrant blue wings fluttered inside his sleeve, scattering countless sparkling particles. However, when these particles touched the fabric, they ignited like sparks on dry grass, causing Vincent Sterling's hand to burst into flames. He stared in horror, frantically waving his hand. It's too hot! Help! Don't panic, there's water nearby." Ian Norris, equally alarmed, hurriedly bent down to scoop water and splash it onto Vincent Sterling. But somehow, the water seemed ineffective, and the fire continued to spread. "What do we do now?" Ian Norris grew more frantic, unsure whether to keep throwing water or not. Clara Howard hopped around nearby. "Vincent Sterling, try dipping your hand in the water." As soon as she finished speaking, Vincent Sterling plunged his entire arm into the pond in the Imperial Garden. The blue glass-winged butterfly took the opportunity to fly away. Almost immediately after it left, the flames extinguished. Vincent Sterling, drenched and shaken, pulled his arm out, breathing a sigh of relief. "Finally, it's out. Are you okay?" Lily Evans, also frightened, examined Vincent Sterling's arm back and forth, noticing something odd. "Hey, why don't you have any burn marks?" Not only were there no burns, but Vincent Sterling's hand was smooth, without a trace of ash or blisters. Vincent Sterling raised his hand to look, astonished. "How can this be? Earlier, I clearly felt my entire arm burning and in pain." He slapped his thigh. "I get it! It's an illusion!" Vincent Sterling stroked his chin. "The woman who used magic to turn day into night once said these butterflies are ancient butterflies created through illusions. Catching the butterfly must have triggered the illusion." Lily Evans looked incredulous. "You mean the fire was fake?" "Exactly. Not only was the fire fake, but even the pain was an illusion." Vincent Sterling squinted. "I think I know why we can't find the other butterflies." They had searched everywhere, and although it was pitch dark around them, apart from the glass-winged butterfly that came to them, they hadn't seen any other butterflies, which was quite unusual. After all, when the woman cast the illusion, she released at least hundreds of butterflies. No matter how vast the Imperial Garden, they should have spotted a few. These butterflies have been identified as carrying illusions. Perhaps they are also in disguise. Seeing the three people simultaneously looking at him, their eyes urging, "Speak up already." Vincent Sterling cleared his throat, deciding not to beat around the bush any longer. Those butterflies might not actually be butterflies. They use illusions to deceive us. Then how do we find them? Lily Evans crouched down, shaking the wine bottle that had just fallen to the ground, looking disheartened. Luring them to the door won't work now. The wine's all spilled. Vincent Sterling glared at her, frustrated. "Where the wine spilled is where we wait." Lily Evans looked at the wine stains on the ground, her eyes brightening. "Right. The butterflies will come if they smell it." So the four of them crouched around the wet wine puddle. Lily Evans rubbed her eyes, her voice drowsy. "Is this method even working? I don't see any butterflies coming. Let's wait a bit longer." Clara Howard was also uncertain. "Maybe the wine set isn't strong enough?" Ian Norris suggested. Vincent Sterling rolled up his sleeves. "Move aside, move aside." He waved both hands, trying to spread the wine's aroma further. But still, no butterflies landed. Vincent Sterling sighed. Maybe there are too many of us here, scaring the butterflies away. Before he finished speaking, he saw the other three suddenly look up and stare at the top of his head, shouting in unison, "Don't move." Vincent Sterling immediately froze. What is it? Lily Evans pointed above his head. Butterfly. Clara Howard was even more excited. It's a crimson-tailed butterfly. As she spoke, she lunged towards Vincent Sterling's head. She was determined, this time, even if her hand caught fire or was cut by a blade, she would not let go of the crimson-tailed butterfly. But as soon as she touched the butterfly, a numbing sensation spread from her fingertips, quickly enveloping her entire arm. Clara Howard's face was full of disbelief. She clenched her hand, confirming she was holding the crimson-tailed butterfly tightly. Impossible. My hand is clearly still here. Why can't I feel it? Her entire arm was numb, as if it suddenly detached from her body, turning into solid stone. No, it's just an illusion. We can all see your hand is still there. Lily Evans, unconcerned about what had happened earlier, reassured her. But Clara Howard was on the verge of tears. I can't control my hand at all. As she spoke, her hand, which was holding the crimson-tailed butterfly, went limp, and the blood-red wings fluttered as it slipped through her fingers. It's not good. The butterfly is about to escape. Lily Evans exclaimed. But instead of fleeing as usual, the butterfly flew straight towards Clara Howard's face. At the same time, from the surrounding darkness, countless crimson-tailed butterflies surged forward, like flickering flames, rushing towards them. Chapter 29. The astonishing sword the knight created by magic was even more terrifying than a real knight. It had no moonlight or stars, making it even more silent. In such darkness, swarms of red-tailed butterflies flew, rushing forward. They looked like falling petals or burning sparks, both eerie and beautiful. Fragile things often don't seem threatening, especially small creatures that only know how to flutter around. No matter how strange or bizarre they are, when they fall to the ground, they are just colorful fragments. Therefore, Vincent Sterling did not hesitate to grab the wing of a butterfly. The powder from the butterfly's wings silently seeped into his skin, spreading through his bloodstream. He opened his eyes in shock, but couldn't control his body as it gradually stiffened. Then he fell to the ground. Vincent Sterling. This unexpected event frightened everyone, and Clara Howard screamed in panic. She rushed to help Vincent Sterling up, and as she bent down, the red butterfly brushed past her face, a tingling sensation like an electric shock spreading throughout her body. Clara Howard's eyes widened, and before her body turned to stone, she struggled to utter a few words. It's not magic. It's not magic. Magic only bewilders the mind. How could it make someone lose consciousness? Lily Evans was still shocked by the two people suddenly collapsing. Not magic? What do you mean not magic? She frantically tried to help them up, but saw the red-tailed butterflies flying closer. Her sleeve was tugged forcefully. Ian Norris was so anxious that his forehead was drenched in sweat. Don't go. It's those butterflies. Butterflies? Lily. Evans looked up. Countless red-tailed butterflies flew in formation, as if lurking and waiting for the right moment to attack. Her heart suddenly jolted, and her pupils contracted. Something was wrong. The woman who cast the magic only released one red-tailed butterfly. So where did all these red-tailed butterflies come from? No time to think further. She pulled Ian Norris and ran. Run! These butterflies aren't really red-tailed butterflies. The frail scholar ran alongside her, staying on the white carved stone bridge without straying, while the butterflies pursued them like relentless phantoms. Lily Evans panted heavily. Why were we clearly chasing butterflies, and now it's turned into butterflies chasing us? Ian Norris was also out of breath, hands on his knees, sweat pouring down like rain. He was already a stammerer, and now he couldn't even speak. Don't stop. Those butterflies are catching up again. That bright red mass appeared once more, its vibrant patterns like the eyes of a demon. Lily Evans exerted all her strength to pull Ian Norris up. She never dreamed she'd be hunted by a swarm of fragile butterflies. Up ahead, the path ends, Ian Norris said, pale-faced. Lily Evans was about to turn around to find another way when the red butterflies, as if knowing they were cornered, rushed at them madly. In a moment of desperation, a spark of an idea flashed in her mind. Ian Norris, jump into the water! She pulled Ian Norris into the water, only to hear him say miserably, But I can't swim. He choked on several gulps of water, and then, heroically, passed out. Lily Evans. That was a mistake. She quickly rescued the sinking Ian Norris, only to see the swarm of butterflies continuing to charge at her, targeting not the unconscious Ian Norris, but her. With just enough time to throw Ian Norris onto the shore, Lily Evans submerged herself in the water. Her luxurious clothing drifted in the water, the hairpin on her head lost somewhere in their hasty escape, her hair flowing freely. Although the situation was dire, in the water, she felt incredibly at ease. Yes, she was a mermaid, born to live underwater. Even though she had human legs, her mermaid instincts guided her on how to move her body, how to blend with the water, even how to breathe underwater. The cool water made her skin supple, and her amber eyes gradually turned a deep ocean blue. Separated by the water's surface, she and the butterflies gazed at each other from a distance. The butterflies couldn't swim, so they waited for her to emerge. They seemed to have a mind of their own, extremely patient, fluttering without urgency. Lily Evans swam gracefully in the water, the swarm of butterflies hovering above her. If she dared to surface, they would turn her into what Vincent Sterling and Clara Howard had become. They seemed confident in their victory, mocking her. Come out, you've held your breath long enough, come out. But Lily Evans quietly glided beneath the water, silently observing. She wasn't human. She could breathe underwater and stay here forever if needed. The standoff continued, with the malicious butterflies shadowing her every move, showing no intention of letting her go. Eventually, the butterflies grew impatient. They began to dive towards the water surface, but the water made their wings wet and their bodies heavy, forcing them to fly close to the surface. Seeing they dared not penetrate the water, Lily Evans secretly sighed in relief. After all, these weren't ordinary butterflies. If they could enter the water, it would be dangerous. Yet the butterflies remained undeterred, seemingly reaching some agreement, suddenly flapping their wings in unison. Red luminescent pollen fell, covering the surface of the lake. As if sprinkling chili powder after cooking fish soup, this scene indicated they intended to perform magic underwater. Lily Evans widened her eyes, a wave of despair rising within her. The water was her last escape route, and if magic infiltrated it, she would surely be unable to flee. But just as the fiery red lights descended, she witnessed an unforgettable sight. A sword descended from the sky, its light like a full moon tearing through the endless night. The sword's aura resembled a strip of white snow, each flake transforming into a sharp blade. The vibrant butterfly wings shattered, and the glittering body turned to ash. The lake's surface was as smooth as a mirror. Lily Evans looked up. A figure stood on the water, toes lightly touching the surface, holding a sword. His attire was whiter than snow, with black hair tied high and a silver mask covering half his face, revealing only a chin as smooth as jade. A red butterfly trembled fearfully on the sword's tip. He exuded a pure aura like wine brewed from melted snow, yet he was not cold and distant like a high mountain. Ripples spread as Lily Evans leaped from the water. Her wet hair cascaded over her shoulders, her soaked clothes clinging to her body, but she showed no shyness like other young women, only focusing intently on the figure. The deep blue in her eyes faded, replaced by a sparkling gaze. Seeing that he said nothing, she swam towards him. Lily Evans reached out and grasped his robe. The figure seemed slightly surprised. Even the butterfly on the sword's tip quivered. He smiled gently, his voice clear as shattered jade. "Young lady, what are you doing?" His voice had been altered by secret magic, sounding unlike William Thatcher. Lily Evans held tightly to his robe, her expression serious. "I caught you, so I wasn't dreaming. A deity really came to save me." "I'm not a deity, just a wandering hero," William Thatcher explained, suppressing a laugh. "A hero helps the world, but you are my personal deity. You saved only me." Dimples appeared on Lily Evans' cheeks. Chapter 30. The one behind the scenes. The sky like water, water like a mirror. Lily Evans smiled, soaking in the water, gazing at her deity. He allowed her to look without stopping her. At some point, a thread appeared in his hand, threading through the red butterfly on the sword's tip. "For you." The young man offered the trembling butterfly to Lily Evans. "Butterfly." Lily Evans was taken aback, releasing his robe and accepting the frightened butterfly. His white robe slipped from her grasp as the young man lightly stepped back, retreating like a thin wisp of smoke, leaving only the fleeting image of his white attire. He left. Lily Evans watched the direction the young man departed, her hand still holding the string tied to the butterfly fluttering around. There seems to be a dubious reasoning. The wicked come in countless forms, while the beautiful all seem somewhat alike. The more she looked, the more this ethereal figure in white resembled her master, William Thatcher. Both wore garments whiter than snow, shared the same elegant demeanor, and even their sword-wielding stance was equally graceful. However, though William Thatcher appeared cold, he was actually very gentle. Easy to talk to, soft-hearted, and would agree to anything if you pleaded a bit. Like the thin spring snow, melting at a touch. But this man was somewhat different. He seemed more carefree, at ease, as if always standing apart from everything, able to leave at any moment. Just like tonight, arriving like drifting flowers, departing like dispersing smoke. That's why she asked if he was a dream. The little mermaid, naive and adrift in the water, murmured to herself, "If he is a dream, when will I meet him again in my dreams? If he is not a dream, where can I find traces of him?" It wasn't until the butterfly flapped its wings, trying to escape her hand, that Lily Evans snapped back to reality. Regardless of what these butterflies were, her friend had fallen unconscious because of them, and the young man had entrusted this butterfly to her, wanting her to uncover the secret behind it. Who released these butterflies, and who wanted to harm them? She must save Vincent Sterling and the others. Lily Evans led the butterfly to the shore, unceremoniously pulling back the butterfly trying to fly away, her expression fierce. You cannot escape. Take me to your master." She wasn't sure if the butterfly understood her threat, but she deliberately tugged its wings until it flapped cautiously, seemingly appeasing her, and she finally let it be. "Good, let's go." Lily Evans didn't care about her soaked clothes, casually flicking water from her hair before setting off with the butterfly. The butterfly, tethered by a thin thread, dared not struggle too much for fear of tearing its wings, so it fluttered around Lily Evans. Passing winding stone bridges and twisting corridors, they came upon an old, dilapidated hall, with moss-covered gray tiles and peeling red paint. Even the lights inside were dim and gloomy, hidden among the overgrown weeds. This place seemed eerie and strange, clearly abandoned, yet still lit, as if someone was inside. But the butterfly pointed in this direction, and Lily Evans tugged the thread, seeing the butterfly tremble in fear. She felt it surely wasn't deceiving her. The one who harmed them must be here. She parted the wild grass, revealing a small path paved with green stones, leading towards the temple's entrance. The signboard of the old, abandoned temple was entwined with dry vines, making it barely possible to discern the words. Butterfly Dream. The temple door lacked even a latch, with one door hanging halfway down. Lily Evans entered through the large gap, surprised to find the place very clean. Clearly, even the broken main door hadn't been repaired, yet there wasn't a speck of dust inside the temple. Could it be that someone still lived here? Someone who regularly cleaned? Lily Evans lifted the layers of jade green silk curtains to clear her view, stepping more lightly. A faint humming suddenly arose, very soft and quiet, like a murmur. But Lily Evans heard it, immediately becoming alert, quickening her pace. The malicious person hiding must be here, and she was determined to find him. The old, tattered jade green silk fluttered, revealing a pale face. Deep within the temple, a young girl was kneeling on the ground. Her long hair cascaded over the floor, obscuring half of her face, but the exposed part revealed a sharp, pale chin. She looked withered and frail, her loose clothing seemingly too heavy for her thin frame. The girl was humming something, her thin wrist emerging from her sleeve, and a flash of silver appeared as she used a dagger to cut her own wrist. The cut was strong and deep, as if she were slicing a dry branch rather than her own wrist, fresh blood flowing down, dripping into a bowl placed before her. The bowl was made of green bronze, inlaid with various gemstones, almost the most beautiful object in this abandoned temple. The fresh blood dripped down, not dissolving in the water, but slowly forming the shape of a butterfly. A blood-red butterfly was born here. The butterfly in the water suddenly moved, a bright red wing emerging. This was the butterfly that had been chasing them. So it was this girl causing trouble. Seeing that another sinister butterfly was about to be born, Lily Evans grew furious. Before the butterfly could fully emerge, she rushed forward and kicked the green bronze bowl. The forming butterfly instantly vanished, blood-stained water splattering everywhere, and the precious bowl rolled away under Lily Evans's powerful kick. The event happened so suddenly that the girl performing the ritual couldn't react in time, her wrist still poised in the act of cutting. "You released these butterflies. Why do you want to harm people?" Lily Evans grabbed the frail girl's collar, questioning her. The girl's body was like a worn-out puppet, weak and easily held in Lily Evans' grip, looking pitiful. But Lily Evans was unmoved. This seemingly innocent, frail girl had used a bizarre spell to release a swarm of beautiful but deadly butterflies. "Let me go! Let me go!" The girl struggled fiercely, but her efforts were insignificant in Lily Evans' hands. Though Lily was also slender, under William Thatcher's daily supervision, her body had gradually become stronger. Meanwhile, the girl appeared chronically ill, like a thin, fragile piece of paper that could easily be torn, or a rotten branch that could crumble into dust with little effort. "I won't let you go easily. My friends were knocked unconscious by you. Tell me how to save them." Lily Evans shook the girl firmly, showing no leniency. "Let go!" The girl struggled, her long hair getting tossed around in the chaos. But what was hidden beneath her hair was utterly terrifying. It was a pair of compound eyes, belonging to an insect. Chapter 31. Not a monster, perhaps due to malnutrition or abuse, the girl's face was tiny. What should have been an adorable face instead sent chills down one's spine. The most striking feature was her eyes. At first glance, her eyes were as black as two jet-black pearls embedded in her face, even slightly protruding from the sockets. But upon closer inspection, one could see thousands of tiny eyes within them. Such eyes are only seen in insects, commonly known as compound eyes. However, when revealing her unusual eyes, the girl appeared more anxious and frightened than Lily Evans, as if what was exposed was not her eyes, but an unspeakable scar. Seeing this, Lily Evans was also terrified, her hands trembling, almost dropping the girl. "Are you a human or an insect?" Lily Evans asked tensely. But the girl didn't answer, only sobbing softly. The weak, Fragile sobs sounded like the faint cries for help of an insect crushed underfoot. Lily Evans looked at the girl with an expression as if she had seen a ghost. "Clearly you're the bad one. Why are you crying first?" As if she were the villain bullying the weak. Just as she was trying to adjust her expression, intending to appear fierce to force the girl to reveal how to save her friends, a boy suddenly burst out from the thin veils nearby. He knelt down with a thud in front of Lily Evans, bowing his head repeatedly. I'm sorry. Please don't blame Phyllis Sterling. She was forced." The boy, in tattered clothes and as thin as Phyllis Sterling, was covered in dirt from bowing repeatedly. Though he was no stronger than the girl named Phyllis Sterling, he still tried to shield her, as if he could bear all the blame for her. Phyllis Sterling timidly hid behind him, fearfully watching Lily Evans. Lily Evans jiad min vi su zud hien dot got qua ka ta, roy like hin gak truok han dong hin mon sao du. She took a few steps back, moved to the side, and said, "Get up quickly. How can you kneel to others so casually? My master says a man should only kneel to heaven, earth, the king, his parents, his teacher, and his wife. How can one lack dignity like that?" Even in the most desperate times, she would rather be sold than bow her head and shed tears. Back then, her mother would always cry while holding her, calling her stubborn and headstrong. Only she understood that there are things in one's character that cannot be bent. Once bent, they can never be straightened again. At that time, Lily Evans still didn't understand what a crucial point was, or what was worth protecting with one's life. It wasn't that she couldn't cry. She just naively thought that a mermaid couldn't shed tears from pain. Those beautiful pearls should fall for a sincere emotion. Those weren't tears flowing from the corners of her eyes, but treasures polished from the painful grains of sand in her tender heart, then revealed to the world, wordlessly moving the hearts of others. Yet the young man ignored Lily Evans' advice, remaining kneeling on the ground, pleading, "Please spare us. We were forced into this." Although she felt some pity for the unfortunate person before her, Lily Evans still needed to find a way to save people. "I can spare you, but you must give me a way to save them. I'm sorry." The young man clenched his hands on the ground. "I can't tell you. They forced Phyllis Sterling to do it. If she doesn't comply, they'll kill her." Lily Evans widened her eyes. "So to save her life, you let others die?" No, they won't die. They'll just fall into a deep sleep without feeling anything," the young man hurriedly explained. "Phyllis Sterling doesn't kill people. So you refuse to save them?" Lily Evans crossed her arms, coldly looking at them. After all the talking, they still refused to save anyone. Their pleas were just to protect the mastermind, not wanting to bear the guilt. Seeing the young man hesitating, Lily Evans truly got angry. "Fine, if you won't save them, then I'll have to drag the culprit out and tell everyone that she caused others to fall into a coma." As she spoke, she pulled Phyllis Sterling from behind the young man. Phyllis Sterling, hearing she was about to be exposed, turned paler, struggling and crying, "No, don't bring me out in front of everyone. I'm a monster. They'll kill me." "You think you're a monster?" Lily Evans' hand paused, looking at Phyllis Sterling with curiosity. This girl, except for her unusual eyes, looked just like any other person, even more human than Lily herself, a mermaid. "They all say Phyllis Sterling is a monster. Clearly, we are siblings from the same mother, but she has strange eyes. They say our mother was also such a monster, a big monster giving birth to a little monster," the young man said sadly. Lily Evans frowned, seeming to recall something, and after a long pause she said, "Phyllis Sterling is not a monster. She's just a member of the Spirit Butterfly clan." "Spirit Butterfly?" The young man and Phyllis Sterling clearly had never heard of this term, looking at each other in confusion. Lily Evans nodded. "I read in books that this world is vast, with more than just humans. In the sea, there are mermaids, On land, there are the Spirit Butterfly clan, the Wu clan, and it's said there are even winged folk in the forest. I heard that the Spirit Butterfly tribe is skilled in ancient magic and has compound eyes. Phyllis Sterling must be the same, she mused, touching her chin. The young man seemed puzzled. Then why is it only my mother and sister who are like that, but not me? Well, Lily Evans tugged at her hair, looking perplexed. Maybe it's because your father is an ordinary person. After all, they aren't monsters, just a different tribe. Just like how she was a mermaid, but Lily Evans swallowed back that thought. Hearing this, the young man sighed instead of feeling comforted. Though we are of the same tribe and not monsters, in others' eyes, we are still seen as different. He pointed to himself with a bitter smile. Even if I look like an ordinary person, so what? Because of this cursed bloodline, my royal brothers reject me, and even my father despises me, wishing he didn't have a son like me, seeing me as his greatest shame. Lily Evans explained. Are you a prince? The young man wore tattered clothes, and the girl was dressed in oversized, old garments, likely passed down from their mother. The palace lacked any sign of maids, guards, or even valuable items. Could these two children, living worse than commoners, actually be the prince and princess of the Northern Empire? The young man sat up with a bitter expression. I am Harold Emperor, the 4th prince of the Northern Empire, and Phyllis Sterling is the 7th Princess Helena, who was declared dead at birth. Chapter 32. The sorrow of the different. It turned out that being of a different tribe meant that even as a prince or princess, they wouldn't be accepted. Their own father, the ruler of a nation, harbored hostility towards his mixed blood children. A princess declared dead at birth, a prince without the right to inherit, enduring humiliation and rejection, no matter how noble their other half's bloodline, their identity as a different tribe cast them into the abyss. Lily Evans suddenly felt a chill in her heart. If even they faced such treatment, what of mermaids? Is this why William Thatcher never revealed his mermaid identity? Because he knew that once seen as different, he would become a target for all. Friends wouldn't see you as a friend, family wouldn't see you as family. In their eyes, different tribes weren't human, and killing them was no different from slaughtering animals. The sorrow of being different surged within her, and Lily Evans knew she couldn't expose Phyllis Sterling to everyone, as that would be tantamount to sending her to her death. Harold Emperor and Phyllis Sterling, hiding away in the Butterfly Dream Palace, unseen by the sun, were like loathed insects. If exposed, the royal secrets and malicious rumors would crush them. The thread guiding the butterfly twitched, making Lily Evans clench her fingers. She whispered, Was it another prince who forced Phyllis Sterling to do this? Only those within the royal family would know Harold Emperor and Phyllis Sterling's true lineage, and 2 princes were involved in this game. As expected, Phyllis Sterling recoiled, as if Lily Evans had hit the mark. She nodded slightly. It was them. Phyllis Sterling. Harold Emperor urgently pulled her back, stopping her from saying more. However, in Phyllis Sterling's dark eyes, there was a glimmer of tears, as if she was about to cry. She spoke softly. Brother, I've had enough. I don't want to hurt others anymore. Only one person has come so far, but if others find out that I've been using this method to harm people, it will eventually be discovered. She was well aware of the consequences, which made her tremble. Brother, no one would believe that the one causing harm is a high and mighty prince, even if I'm just a scapegoat. Phyllis Sterling sorrowfully said, Being born not human isn't my fault. She sobbed and ran to one side, picking up the copper basin of water that Lily Evans had kicked away. There was still some water left, mixed with her blood. She poured a bit of this water into an old porcelain bowl and handed it to Lily Evans. Take it, give it to your friends to drink, and they will wake up. Lily Evans was stunned as she took the bowl, but still asked, What about you? You've handed over the antidote, gone against them, and betrayed them. What will you do? Phyllis Sterling turned and smiled at her, her pale face rarely showing such a radiant smile. Even Harold Emperor, her brother, was taken aback. The girl spoke softly but firmly. Sister, thank you for letting me know that I'm not a monster. I'm doing this entirely of my own free will for you. Are you not afraid? Are you not afraid they'll beat you? Lily Evans hesitated for a moment before asking. She had once been in the dark, damp slave dungeons, and knew well the wrath of the slave masters when they didn't get what they wanted. The cruel, malicious lashes, burning like fire, sharp as a knife. Sure enough, Harold Emperor beside her also looked worriedly at Phyllis Sterling, his eyes filled with concern. Phyllis Sterling brushed her hair, letting her long hair cover her eyes. I'm still useful. They won't kill me. As for being beaten, do you think if I obediently listen, I won't be beaten? The last sentence she spoke was very soft, almost carried away by the wind, yet the coldness in her words was palpable. It's almost time, Phyllis Sterling reminded. Hey, Lily Evans snapped back to reality, remembering the important task she had, and quickly held the precious antidote in her hand. Then I'll go ahead. Thank you for the antidote. She hurriedly left, turning back to smile appreciatively. Clutching the protective amulet in her hand, Lily Evans ran swiftly. The mermaid legs, after all, were a transformation, and she wasn't quite used to them, so she was swaying by the time she returned. She held the bowl of blood, first giving Vincent Sterling a sip. The chipped edge of the bowl pressed against his lips. The fresh red blood flowed in, and Vincent Sterling's eyelashes fluttered slightly. He opened his eyes, rubbed his head. Why am I lying on the ground? Oh, my head! The cold hard ground indeed hurt the noble neck of the heir, making him grimace and groan. Lily Evans rolled her eyes, not bothering to comfort this pampered young master, and continued as before, reviving Clara Howard. The spoiled princess, upon waking, exaggerated as if she'd been lying on a bed of nails, and even accused Lily Evans. Hey, country bumpkin, you didn't take the chance to step on me a few times while I was out, did you? Why does my waist, wrists, legs, my whole body hurt so much? Lily Evans was struggling to drag Ian Norris back from afar, using the method in the book to force water out of him, and hearing Clara Howard's words made her so angry that she almost pressed hard enough to send Ian Norris's lungs flying out. Cough, cough. Cough, cough. Ian Norris, choking on water, said, Lily Evans, all right, I'm awake. Though he was forcefully awakened, it at least brought him back to consciousness. If it weren't for me, you'd still be out cold. How should I know if someone secretly stepped on you while I was looking for the antidote? Even if someone did, it's your own fault. Lily Evans thought to herself. Oh, Clara Howard awkwardly averted her eyes, as if just finding the antidote was some world-saving act, acting all high and mighty. Sigh, where did you find the antidote? And what are these butterflies? So strange, Vincent Sterling said as he got up. Lily Evans didn't want to talk about Phyllis Sterling, so she quickly lied. It's water made from the butterflies falling into the water. Didn't you notice the water is all red? Afraid they would continue questioning, she quickly changed the subject. We should hurry back. The 3 hours of the game are almost up. Vincent Sterling patted his head, looking regretful. Oh no, this is embarrassing. Not only did I lie on the ground the whole time, but I didn't catch a single butterfly. Suddenly his voice stopped, and he stared at Lily Evans, pointing at her waist. Wait, Lily Evans. What's that on your waist? Lily Evans was momentarily stunned, looking down to find a butterfly she had been holding in her hand. She had obtained the antidote but forgot about the butterfly in her grasp, carrying it out of the Dream Butterfly Palace. After running all the way, the butterfly had been shaken to the point of fainting, now appearing like a vivid red ornament dangling from Lily Evans' waist. She gently moved her fingers, lifting the butterfly with a sly smile on her face. Who said we couldn't catch any butterflies? This one is worth at least 10 points. Chapter 33. Princess of the Butterfly Clan. However, this unexpected crimson ale butterfly only brought them 10 points, not enough to secure first place, just saving them some embarrassment. Second prince is truly impressive, catching so many. Third prince too. Clara Howard, unaware of the circumstances, praised the two princes, then suddenly turned, her eyebrows arched angrily. It's all because of you three fools. If you weren't so stupid, we might have been in first place. At that time, not only would her father view her differently, but the ephemeral pearl would also be hers. Thinking about the lost treasure, Clara Howard felt frustrated and left without a word. Lily Evans watched Henry Sterling praise and pat the second prince on the shoulder, awarding him the ephemeral pearl as a prize, secretly pouting. They were all children of Henry Sterling, yet their second prince could blatantly oppress others, while Harold Emperor had to silently endure and even take the blame when discovered. Clara Howard could be arrogant and capricious, while Phyllis Sterling was despised by everyone, struggling to survive. The stark contrast was truly bitter. Lily Evans glanced at the ephemeral pearl the second prince was proudly showing off, a transparent, greenish-blue pearl with a clear halo inside, resembling a giant cat's-eye stone, mesmerizing at first sight. The most precious aspect of this pearl was not its beauty, but its miraculous use. The ephemeral pearl could serve as a medium, transferring water from one place to another, leading people to mistakenly believe it could create water. Fate brings people together, but without fate, one should not force it. The deep blue in Lily Evans' eyes grew more intense, and an indescribable emotion surged within her, burning hot like fire. Second prince, this is not something you can possess on your own. One day, you will have to return it. After the banquet, the most relaxed person was Vincent Sterling. The one lamenting the loss of a wife and soldiers was him, yet the one casually saying, "It's the participation that counts," was also him. Lily Evans kicked a stone away. How can you be so nonchalant? If it weren't for them. She couldn't finish her sentence, stomping her foot in frustration. Using some kind of trick. How could they have won first place? Just take it easy. Vincent Sterling rested his head on his hand, lazily saying, I predicted it already. If the second and third princes entered this competition, how could anyone else possibly win first place? Lily Evans hesitated. Are they really that formidable? Vincent Sterling chuckled softly, his expression shifting unpredictably but eventually returning to his usual carefree smile. They are royal descendants, dragon sons and grandsons. They must be the best. If someone else were to become the best, where would that leave their pride? Lily Evans muttered under her breath, dying for pride. Oh right, she couldn't resist her curiosity and asked, Do you know the fourth prince? Vincent Sterling's eyes widened, and he put a finger to his lips, Shh. Just as they reached the palace gates, he looked around, seeing no one following, and pulled Lily Evans aside. They leaned against the palace's green brick wall. His usually carefree expression turned puzzled. How do you know about the fourth prince? Lily Evans' eyes darted. Well, let's see. There's the second prince, the third prince, Clara Howard is the fifth. There must be a fourth, right? Oh, and there's the first one too. She hesitated. So, is there a first prince as well? Vincent Sterling acted mysteriously, as if he had a fan, he would surely wave it, but with empty hands, he awkwardly rubbed his sleeve. I only heard about it. Don't tell anyone else, okay? Sensing something interesting, Lily Evans' eyes lit up, and she quickly assured, Don't worry, I won't tell a soul. Vincent Sterling finally relaxed, adopting a storyteller's tone. The first prince seems to be training with a master from Dawnbreaker, but the background of the fourth prince you don't know yet. Listen to me. It turns out that many years ago, the Northern Empire had waged a war, destroying a small tribe on the border. This small tribe, though few in number, had some powerful individuals, but could not withstand the heavy cavalry, armor, and divine weapons of the Northern Empire. Ultimately, the small tribe was defeated, but their fate was unlike that of the merfolk in Mistless Sea years ago. The merfolk were captured and kept for their value, while the butterfly tribe was mercilessly slaughtered. Some cowardly members of the butterfly tribe, seeking to appease the Northern Empire's emperor for survival, offered him a rare treasure, the butterfly tribe's princess at the time, an exceptional beauty. Henry Sterling might not have been enamored by beauty, but he was fascinated by the thrill of conquest, especially since the butterfly princess was a captivating woman. She possessed extraordinary beauty, and had a mesmerizing dance talent. Her graceful figure seemed to dance on the palm of a hand, and her stunning appearance made it hard for anyone to look away. Although she was blind, she was deeply favored and became Henry Sterling's concubine, given the title Helena, residing in the Butterfly Dream Palace, enjoying a period of great favor. But happiness was fleeting, and when she gave birth to the seventh princess, that peaceful dream shattered. The seventh princess, Helena, was considered a monster, born with compound eyes. Everyone said this was Henry Sterling's divine punishment, the butterfly tribe's spirits returning for vengeance, using the child's eyes to channel the tribe's blood-soaked tears. Only Henry Sterling knew it was neither divine punishment nor a curse, but an inevitability. For Helena had also possessed such eyes, which led to her being blinded and brought to the palace. In the butterfly tribe, girls with compound eyes were born able to summon the ancient butterfly, mysterious and magical. But Henry Sterling had no need for such beings from the butterfly tribe to exist. Each time he looked at the child, he felt as if it was recounting his brutal sins through its mournful cries. He wanted to strangle the child. The young fourth prince ran to stop him, but was angrily pushed away. In the end, Helena, weakened after childbirth, struggled to crawl off the bed and drew a sword to take her own life, blood spreading across the floor. In her dying moments, she desperately begged him to spare her child's life, securing a glimmer of hope for survival. Henry Sterling announced to the public that Helena died in childbirth, and that the baby also passed away shortly after birth. From then on, it was as if the fourth prince vanished from the palace. No one mentioned his whereabouts, nor did they know if he was alive or dead. He and his sister lived at their mother's residence, which was also where she lost her life. After telling the story, Vincent Sterling waved his hand, as if trying to dispel something. The weather wasn't hot, so what he wanted to dispel wasn't heat, but the stifling feeling in his heart. Yet the disciple of the celestial sovereign that day tilted his head and blinked innocently. If it's a secret history, how do you know? Chapter 34. Younger, more handsome than you. Are you implying that I'm making up stories to deceive you? His angry words startled a flock of crows. Lily Evans covered her ears and ran off. All right, I get it. You're not lying to me. Just stop shouting like that. You scared the fish away. Mermaids are quite rare, you know. Explain this to me. Vincent Sterling chased after her. The two of them, one chasing and the other fleeing, quickly disappeared into the distance. The coachman of the Marquis's household could only shake his head in exasperation. My dear young master, if you keep chasing after people like this, you won't need a carriage anymore. Just run back to Verdant Forge. Unexpectedly, the coachman's words came true, as Lily Evans panted heavily, having run almost the entire way. By the time she got home, drenched in sweat, she was like a salted fish. Gasping for breath, she pushed the door open and saw William Thatcher leisurely sitting in a chair, sipping tea. This man was truly handsome, every gesture and movement like a painting. Seeing him, Lily Evans immediately thought of the white-robed sword immortal from before, comparing the two in her mind. The master is indeed handsome, but he tends to lecture a lot. The sword immortal, on the other hand, acted heroically and even gave her a big gift. Thinking this, Lily Evans's heart tilted towards one side. William Thatcher was waiting for her to come to her senses, superimposing the image of the white-robed sword immortal onto him. The master who had declared he wouldn't attend the banquet, then pretended to care and teach his beloved disciple, only to find she was reluctant to approach. Ahem. William Thatcher cleared his throat softly and placed the teacup down. You're back? Did anything happen at the banquet today? Lily Evans' eyes lit up, as if she could read his mind. For example, meeting William White, perhaps. William Thatcher blushed slightly, hiding his anticipation behind a sip of tea. If someone else were present, they would surely notice the transparent attempt of this genius sword master to take credit. Little Lily Evans, though your master said he wouldn't attend the party, he still showed up to save you. Go on, praise me. It was almost embarrassing to watch. Fortunately, the only other person in the house, Autumn Bell, was busy in the kitchen and not present. Lily Evans didn't respond, instead tugging at his sleeve playfully. Master, do you know how to cultivate immortality? Peach FFT. A mouthful of tea sprayed out as William Thatcher coughed, bewildered. Why are you talking nonsense? I've told you to stop reading those silly books. There's no such thing as cultivating immortality. But, Master, Lily Evans clearly disagreed, climbing onto a chair to match William Thatcher's height, speaking with conviction. I clearly met an immortal. Having met one proves they exist, so why wouldn't there be a way to cultivate immortality? Oh, what did this immortal look like? William Thatcher seemed to guess something, asking tactfully. Very handsome. Lily Evans struggled to describe, then slapped her thigh. Younger and more handsome than you, Master. William Thatcher. Did you see his face? His voice was a bit strange. No. Lily Evans was momentarily disappointed, a suspicious blush on her face. Even without seeing his face, I know the immortal brother must be handsome. An immortal brother? Indeed, William Thatcher felt a twinge in his teeth. Clearly, it was the same person, yet how could she see him as a young, handsome, immortal brother, while her master was old and unattractive? Thinking this, not only did his teeth ache, but an old wound in his chest began to throb. So why do you want to cultivate immortality? William Thatcher asked, clutching his chest. Of course, to be with the immortal brother. Lily Evans' eyes sparkled like stars, easily expressing her fondness. She cared nothing for rules about propriety and decorum, her heart full of sweet, tender youthful affection. Initially, William Thatcher wanted to tell her the truth, but seeing her like this, he held back. He couldn't bear to shatter her beautiful dream, so he let her yearn for that immortal brother. Little did he know, this moment of hesitation would plant a deep-seated affection in Lily Evans, a fleeting encounter that would remain etched in her memory for a lifetime. As time passed and the dust settled, looking back under dim lights, this tale would evoke knowing smiles. But at present, the words, old and ugly, William Thatcher still couldn't swallow his pride. So he smiled, saying slowly, There's definitely no cultivating immortality, but if you work hard at your training, perhaps one day you'll meet that immortal brother again. If you become skilled, you might even be able to keep him around. Master is right. Lily Evans immediately jumped off the chair, clenched her fists, and appeared eager to learn. Usually, getting her to read a book is like pulling teeth, yet just one celestial brother has made her so enthusiastic. Thinking this, William Thatcher clutched his chest. At this moment, Lily Evans noticed her master was covered in injuries and blinked, asking, Master, have you fully recovered? Are you feeling unwell anywhere? No, I'm fine. William Thatcher waved his hand helplessly. I was thinking maybe I should cover my face when teaching you in the future. Huh? What did you say, Master? Lily Evans asked while skipping back to her room, not hearing what he said clearly. I said tomorrow is the first day of school. You better get ready, William Thatcher said wearily. Ah. Lily Evans slumped against the corner, groaning. Oh no, is school starting so soon? It's going to be the death of me. Butterfly Dream Palace. Once a magnificent palace, Butterfly Dream Palace is now a scene of desolation. Weeds in the courtyard grow taller than a person, and the faded, peeling pillars silently tell of the indifference of time. Only the unnamed wild vines remain vibrantly green, growing vigorously. In a place devoid of sunlight, only those who root deeply in the earth can survive. Once they raise their heads, they face countless obstacles. Look, those foolish weeds dare to block the path of the second prince of the Northern Empire. With a snap, the weeds were broken, and the annoying thorns mixed and were brushed aside. The eunuch bowed obsequiously, flattering with a smile. Your Highness, why have you come here yourself? If you wish to discipline those two illegitimate children, you could have sent me. Where I go is none of your business. Victor Sterling coldly glanced at him. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing his displeasure, the eunuch dared not speak further, and quickly led him inside. Upon entering, Victor Sterling heard the sound of a whip cracking through the air. He frowned. What's going on? The eunuch leading the way chuckled. It's the third prince. Henry Sterling, Jr.? Victor Sterling raised an eyebrow and headed towards the sound of the whip. The whip's sharp crack was punctuated by Henry Sterling, Jr.'s voice. Keep hitting! You can't even handle this trivial task, you useless thing. The sound of the whip was interspersed with soft cries and pleas. Third prince, please spare us. Hearing the cries, Victor Sterling suddenly remembered he had a younger brother. He was surprised that his brother still refused to give up on the monstrous sister, insisting on courting disaster. With a mocking smile, Victor Sterling said, Fourth brother, if this small waste is useless, perhaps the bigger waste can redeem himself by making up for it. Chapter 35. Special skill. Sleeping with eyes open, it seemed the heavens were ignoring Lily Evans' prayers, as classes were inevitable. Despite it being the first day, Lily Evans was quite excited, eagerly riding the carriage with William Thatcher to Cloud Spire Academy. Unfortunately, they had to part ways upon arrival. The carriage stopped at the usual clearing outside the academy, but William Thatcher took a different path than Lily Evans. As a newcomer, Lily Evans had to navigate her first year on her own, while William Thatcher headed to Heavenly Military Platform to lecture. The country mermaid was attending school for the first time, constantly looking back, reluctant to part with her mentor. She pitifully asked, Master, can't I really go with you? What's this? Didn't you dislike always trailing after me before? Though he said this, he comfortingly patted the little student's head. Who said that? Lily Evans quickly changed her tone. I love following you the most. She tugged at William Thatcher's sleeve, pleading, Master. A mermaid's plea is indeed endearing, but she needed to learn independence. After a few comforting words from William Thatcher, Lily Evans happily went to her classes. Unbeknownst to them, this scene caught the attention of a keen observer. The second prince, Victor Sterling, tapped his fingers and instructed his subordinate. Investigate that girl's background for me. Yes, sir. Hearing the familiar voice of the young girl, the youth kneeling in the carriage lowered his head even more. In the first year at Cloud Spire Academy, students were required to study magic, logic, art, debate, without delving too deeply into any. At the end of the year, there would be a major examination to assess aptitude, and those who passed would choose their specialization and mentor based on their talents. The main subjects included magic, logic, art, debate, which were further divided into illusion, beast mastery, formation, spirit guidance, medicine, armor, strategy, martial arts, literature, and more. Upon entering the academy, Thanks to the Cloudhaven bracelet on her wrist, a maid came to escort her. The maid, dressed in a cloud-patterned robe with her hair elegantly styled, exuded a scholarly elegance. She led Lily Evans to a place called First Bloom Palace, and then gracefully departed. First Bloom Palace was also built from white stone, 2 stories high, with intricately carved windows on all sides. Inside, a golden incense burner emitted a calming fragrance. The hall was filled with desks, and seeing others already seated, Lily Evans felt reassured and looked around for a place to sit. "Lily Evans!" She heard Vincent Sterling's voice, and turned to see him winking at her from the front row. "Sit here." He pointed to the seat next to him. Vincent Sterling sat in the second row, a rather decent seat by the window. However, upon seeing Clara Howard sitting across, Lily Evans immediately frowned and headed straight to the back. "Thanks, but I prefer sitting at the back." Though she said that, in truth, she wanted to avoid the arrogant girl, preferring peace of mind by not seeing her. Moreover, Ian Norris was also sitting at the back, clearly cast aside by others. If she didn't look out for that stuttering fool, there was no guarantee he wouldn't be bullied. Later, Lily Evans felt she had made a wise decision. The lectures were filled with empty philosophies, and sitting at the back was perfect for a nap. Then shade the ice into a circle, face it towards the sun, and use mugwort to catch its shadow, which will produce fire. The east has mantises and tusked snails. The Feng family tower is 3 zhang high. The dwarves are 9 cun tall. The barbarians have high foreheads, black teeth, sunken chests, long ears, big feet, and split heads. The ancient fish in the eastern sea gave birth. The young one crawled into the mother's belly out of fear, then crawled out again. Perhaps the elderly teacher, who seemed over 50, was too dull, causing more than half of the students below to doze off. Feeling insulted, the teacher slammed the table in anger. "Just now, I spoke of the ancient fish in the eastern sea. What else is it called? Who will stand up and answer this question?" The loud sound startled many, bringing their wandering minds back to their seats. But what had the old man asked? What did he say? How could they understand anything in their dreams? Yet not knowing was fine, as her eyes darted around, avoiding looking directly at the teacher. In the midst of the nervous students, someone calmly spoke up. "Sir, you might not know, but among us is a distinguished student of the Celestial Sovereign. Surely, she has the answer in mind." What a clever move! Not only did it divert immediate trouble, but it also placed the burden on the so-called disciple of the Celestial Sovereign, venting some frustration. 2 birds with 1 stone, truly impressive. The mastermind, of course, was Clara Howard, raised in the Deep Palace and accustomed to the political schemes of the Imperial Library from a young age. How could she not know such tricks? Aren't you proud? Didn't you claim not to cheat? Let's see how you answer. Clara Howard glanced over, eager to watch the spectacle unfold. "Very well. Let the disciple of the Celestial Sovereign provide the answer." The teacher stroked his long beard, looking expectantly. William Thatcher's reputation was renowned throughout the Northern Empire, and as his student, she should be quite remarkable. Following everyone's gaze, the teacher's eyes softened. "Is it this young lady?" He had noticed her for a while. Though her posture wasn't proper, while others were nodding off and yawning, this young lady kept her eyes wide open, seemingly attentive, refreshing the teacher's weary spirit. However, she showed no reaction. "Lily Evans!" Ian Norris called out to her urgently. His call startled Lily Evans awake. "What is it?" Ian Norris quietly reminded, "Lily, the teacher is calling you to answer the question." Lily Evans asked softly, "What question?" She rubbed her eyes. "I just dozed off." Ian Norris looked at her in surprise. "Weren't your eyes open the whole time?" "Well, fish can sleep with their eyes open." "What's the big deal?" Lily Evans pouted. Young lady? The teacher, still smiling, asked again, what was the East Sea fish called in ancient times? What? Clara Howard stood up bewildered. Ian Norris hid his face behind a book. Mare. Lily Evans' eyes lit up. Mermaid? She knew this one. So she cleared her throat. Mermaid. Ian Norris' face turned pale as he finally finished his sentence. Marefish. Lily Evans' stuttering caused trouble for the fish. The teacher's face also turned pale, and he pointed angrily at Lily Evans. You unruly student, how could the celestial sovereign have a disciple like you? Get out. Sai scolded again. Why keep bringing this up? Anyway, Lily Evans didn't want to hear those preachy words, so she ignored everything and stood outside the door. Unexpectedly, after standing outside for a while, she encountered something. Chapter 36. Endangered creatures save themselves. A proper lazy fish must learn not to strive for advancement. An outstanding lazy fish must get used to ignoring fame and fortune. Lily Evans never wanted to enter Cloud Spire Academy, nor did she want to become an imperial elite. She was merely half coaxed, half tricked into coming here by William Thatcher for easier supervision. She understood William Thatcher's thoughts, not seeking renowned vassals, only hoping a certain fish could live peacefully. Sigh, the vast sea is unreachable, but she found the aquarium quite nice. Lily Evans yawned, her posture even more languid. The beautiful sunlight outside shone on her, making her feel lazy and unwilling to move. For her, being kicked out of class was merely changing her sleeping spot. Leaning against the wall for a while, Lily Evans fully leaned back and dozed off. The Cloud Spire Academy uniform was a pure blue, with wide sleeves. She raised her hand above her head, letting the sleeve perfectly shield her face, blocking the sun. It rained last night, leaving the ground damp. A gentle breeze carried the fresh scent of grass and trees. Suddenly, an arrogant shout pierced her ears, startling Lily Evans awake, her drowsiness vanishing without a trace. Look, an earthworm, fourth brother. Do you think this thing is related to you? In the shady spot far away, for people wearing armor and swords surrounded a young man in a gray-blue brocade robe. The young man, with thick eyebrows and large eyes, was laughing heartily, his golden-decorated deerskin shoes stepping on a twisted, black object. The dark figure was Harold Emperor, whom Lily Evans had met at the Butterfly Dream Palace that day. He was now crouched on the ground, shackled, with his head in his hands. The arrogant young man was none other than the third prince, Henry Sterling Jr. No one knew what had happened since that day, but the third prince had brought Harold Emperor to Cloud Spire Academy. Harold had been cleaned up, his ragged clothes replaced with a servant's black attire, and he was chained. Henry Sterling Jr. called him fourth brother, but his words carried no respect, treating him clearly as a slave. Harold's messy hair hid his expression, but the resentment and unwillingness were evident in his thin eyes. If he were just a regular slave, it would be bearable, for even the lowliest are born of parents. But Henry Sterling Jr. treated him as less than human. A flash of silver followed by the sound of a knife hitting stone echoed. The third prince's guard, eager to please his master, spared no effort to entertain him. The knife had just severed an earthworm that had emerged from the moist soil after the rain. The worm, cut in half, continued to wriggle, not yet dead. The guard laughed loudly. Your Highness, look, the earthworm is still alive even after being cut in half. Accustomed to the rough company of soldiers, the third prince was unfazed by such brutal acts to curry favor. Henry Sterling Jr.'s gaze turned fierce as he stepped on Harold Emperor's clenched fist. Under the crushing weight, cold sweat broke out on Harold's forehead as he slowly opened his fingers, yielding to Henry Sterling Jr.'s torment. He trembled, biting his lip but not daring to cry out in pain, knowing it would only provoke more cruelty. The tormentor spoke with wicked intent. Fourth brother, an earthworm can survive being cut and even regenerate. I wonder if your fingers could do the same if I were to cut them off. Pressing down hard, Henry Sterling Jr. mocked. After all, you're just laughable insects. Harold's body shook. He bore the blood of the butterfly clan, but showed no signs of their traits or advantages. The idea of regenerating fingers was pure fantasy. Your Highness. His face turned pale, the pain searing through his heart. Without fingers, he could do nothing. Bring the sword. Satisfied with Harold's fearful expression, Henry Sterling Jr. ordered a guard to present the weapon. The guard hurriedly offered the sword, respectfully placing it in his hand. The arrogant, domineering youth raised the sword, ready to strike without hesitation. Wait a moment. A young voice suddenly rang out, stopping Henry Sterling Jr.'s hand unexpectedly. The young girl wore a blue uniform from the academy, with her hair tied in 2 buns. She was still very young, just over 10 years old, with a petite and frail figure, likely as light as a chick if picked up. Her features had not fully developed yet, but her eyes were exceptionally lively. Her fair skin flushed with excitement, adding a hint of beauty reminiscent of peach blossoms on her face. Though not breathtakingly beautiful, she could still be considered a delicate beauty. Henry Sterling Jr. observed her closely, but did not lower his sword. His thick eyebrows furrowed more tightly, showing some irritation. Who are you? The newcomer was Lily Evans. She initially intended to stay silent and crouched to the side, pretending to see nothing to avoid trouble, as she was just a newcomer and dared not offend the arrogant second prince and the blade in his hand. It wasn't until Harold Emperor was about to have his finger cut off that she couldn't hold back and jumped out. Sigh, sharing the same plight, why must they harm each other? They were all rare creatures being oppressed, and in times of danger, they should help one another. Lily Evans carefully pushed Henry Sterling Jr.'s blade aside, avoiding its gleaming edge. She shielded Harold Emperor, making a protective stance, and stood tall, looking directly at Henry Sterling Jr. I am Lily Evans, a disciple of the Celestial Sovereign. For the first time, Lily Evans felt her identity was truly valuable, wishing she could enlarge and bold those words to intimidate her opponent. Oh! Hearing this, Henry Sterling Jr. indeed showed some restraint, clearly not wanting to offend William Thatcher. However, he was used to being domineering. If the Celestial Sovereign himself had come, he wouldn't dare say anything, but just a little girl, still wet behind the ears, dared to meddle in his affairs? Henry Sterling Jr. let out a cold laugh. This person is my fourth brother. This is a family matter. No need for the esteemed disciple of the Celestial Sovereign to trouble herself. His words implied that Lily Evans was meddling in others' affairs, and he waved his hand to push her aside. Lily Evans staggered but remained determinedly in place. Harold Emperor, worried she would be implicated, spoke through the pain. Miss Lily Evans, don't interfere. Ah! Lily Evans, unfazed, stepped on Harold Emperor's finger, silencing him. Since she had already jumped into muddy waters, she was prepared, so why say more? Lily Evans calmly said, Third Prince, you're mistaken. Cutting off a finger isn't a family matter. Didn't you say you wanted to see if a severed finger could grow back like an earthworm? Henry Sterling Jr. looked at her with interest, curious about what she would say next. He sheathed his sword and eyed Lily Evans. So what if I did? Lily Evans blinked. In the academy, any question can be asked. Who says an earthworm cut in half will regenerate? I dare say an earthworm cut in half will surely die.